our listeners on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for this Tuesday edition of the Hello Neighbor Show, Politics Matter Jamaica. And politics matters because we're living in a time when many people are getting foot in mouth disease and putting their foot in their mouths. Amazing stuff. I want to welcome you to the program, wherever you're tuning in from. If you are tuning in from Jamaica, or you are in some other parts of the world, the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, parts of the Caribbean, Barbados, welcome. Welcome to the show. Quite a few matters in the news today.
Hello, I'm Karen Martin.
Sorry about that. An unfortunate suspected suicide of a police man over there in Maypen. The body of a 50-year-old farmer, Nicole Brown, from Lacovia, St. Elizabeth, recovered from a river in the parish this afternoon. She has been missing since Sunday, August 2nd. Very, very unfortunate that is. Then there was a woman who died in St. Mary. Wow, after her car lost control and plunged into a river. And she was swept away by the water while trying to get to safety. Very unfortunate. Condolences to all of these families that are mourning the tragic loss of their loved ones. Very, very sad. The whole matter of the borders, we see where a number of Haitians are landing on the island. 4 held in St. Catherine, charged with overstaying. Very, very interesting. So there is quite a bit happening. The fact of the matter, though, is that Jamaica continues to improve its security apparatus, and I am sure that the Marine Police are on top of these matters. Let us move over though to quite a number of very interesting stories coming to us today. There was a very interesting interview on Nationwide by Donald Tapia or Tapia. Some people call him Tapia, but he was on Nationwide today, and wow, what a lot coming out of that. He's saying that the nominee, Kerry Lake, is not someone that he would trust. But that's some matters that we'd rather pick up at some other time. There was a joint session of parliament today. Ghana's president backs Jamaica's reparation push. So Jamaica is finding support from Ghana in its reparations push. In the meantime, Culture Minister Olivia Babsy-Grange says that her petition to King Charles seeking legal guidance on slavery is expected to begin in September. So the minister is seeking guidance on reparations, and that is going to enter a new phase in September. Should be very interesting. Let's jump over to TikTok and say good evening to the producer. Caroline, how are you?
Hi, good evening, neighbor. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, not too bad. Picking through the news and see what is best to cover. There is a very disturbing piece of news coming out of the People's National Party.
Like, I feel like I'm definitely
where Mr. Isaac Buchanan is calling the container houses trash. Can you imagine?
I can't respond to that.
When we receive
would not be good for airplay.
Well, I'm going to have to address that a little bit because that's quite unfortunate. But we have the Ghana's president in Jamaica at a joint session of parliament today. Awesome. And he's back in Jamaica's push for reparations, eh? Yeah. Well,
I think that's excellent.
Well, I don't share those same views, but we are allowed to disagree, aren't we?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we would get some money.
You mean from reparations?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. She's saying that come September that matter will be they'll be talking about it in Britain, or she's getting some guidance as to what exactly to do. Very interesting. We'll wait to see what will happen there, eh?
Yes, neighbor.
All right. I'm sure you want to talk to the listeners.
Of course. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining again. YouTube, good evening to you. Please remember to like and subscribe. For X, thank you for joining. Please share the live. For TikTok, please tap, share, repost, send the heart knees, and keep the comment section very active. And for Facebook, welcome. Thanks for joining. Please share. All right, neighbor, have a great show.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's see if we can go in. So let's talk a little bit about the former U.S. ambassador to Jamaica is skeptical about Kari Lake. The former ambassador is saying that Lake, who is a television anchor, well, she was a former television anchor and candidate in Arizona. The Nationwide is reporting that according to Tapia, her record in public service doesn't bode well for Jamaica, and he believes that her appointment could ruin Jamaica's relationship with the United States. Fascinating stuff coming out of that piece of information. The People's National Party is rejecting blame for delaying Jamaica's push to become a republic. you would recall that the Jamaica Labour Party spokesman, that's Mr. Apka Fitzhenley, made some comments about the PNP not living up to their commitment to assist the process. Well, the PNP is saying that nothing no goes up. Here is Mrs. Zulika Jess. Miss Zulika Jess was speaking today.
Public, but this generation, opposition has been clear from the start. We support Jamaica becoming a republic, but this generation has a responsibility to finish the full work of decolonization. Opposition leader Mark Golding wrote to Prime Minister Holders asking to meet to discuss a bipartisan path forward because constitutional reform requires both sides. That meeting still has not happened. The government cannot refuse to meet and then blame the opposition for the delay. Opposition.
Miss Jess seemed not to get her facts straight. Based on the information, those are not the facts, Miss Jess. My understanding is that the Prime Minister wrote to Mr. Golding inviting Mr. Golding to meet with the Justice Minister. And the Justice Minister has said that the opposition leader has not responded to the request. As a matter of fact, when the Prime Minister first wrote to Mr. Golding, Mr. Golding responded and made his letter public that he would not be meeting with Mr. Chuck. Okay? So I don't think Ms. Jess is correct in suggesting that the Prime Minister is refusing to meet. I think it is the other way around, where Mr. Golding is not wanting to follow the directives given to meet with the Constitution Minister, who is Mr. Delroy Chuck. And Mr. Chuck said it on Nationwide that he's been waiting for said meeting with Mr. Mr. Chuck. Let me ask something. Is everything okay with Mrs. Miss what is her name? The former candidate for St. Mary, Michelle Charles. Is Michelle Charles okay? I see Michelle Charles. Boy, I tell you, Michelle Charles, are you okay? St. Thomas, eh? Michelle Charles. Is Michelle Charles okay? Can somebody tell me if she's okay? Boy, I tell you, I'll have something to say about Mrs. Charles soon, but I don't know if Miss Charles is okay, man, based on what I see her posting on social media. Okay, so Miss Jess is misrepresenting the facts as far as that matter is concerned. And I think that Miss Jess should not do that. She should try and get her facts pretty straight. before she misleads the public. There's a lot of talk about that interview done by Mr. Golding. That's Mr. Bruce Golding. There's a lot of talk in media about it. But we're going to skip on that one tonight. And I'll just play a little bit of Mr. Tapia's interview with Mr. Hughes today. And you can make of that what you will. Okay? Listen to Mr. Tapia. Let me see if I can turn up the volume because I think he's...
The United States has always been a good partner. What she's saying is that we are not a good partner. And I believe that the United States has always been a good partner to Jamaica. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we have disagreements. Yes, we ask things of Jamaica, same as in the backside, is Jamaica asks things of the U.S. So it's like being married. You're not always going to agree with your wife, and she's not always going to agree with you.
There you go. So Mr. Tapia is saying that there's some disagreement, but Jamaica does have a solid relationship with the United States. You recall that Mr. Golding is suggesting that the relationship with the United States is at a 50-year low. Mr. Tapia is saying, well, there are some problems, but he believes that they are not of the level that would make the relationship that bad. And I like that. But he sided with Mr. Golding on some other matters.
In some ways, I agree with them from the standpoint of the tariff that the present administration has put towards many countries, especially our friends, which is Canada and Mexico. As an individual and as a person that looks at it from a global standpoint, I disagree with, but at the same time, I'm not in a position of power to change that.
There you go.
When you're in a position where they tried to tie you to a party, a Republican or Democratic Party, or the PNP and the JLP, there's going to be disagreement. And I saw nothing here a way to say things and do things that we would disagree with. I disagree with a lot. The first Trump administration is entirely different than the second Trump administration. We're seeing that. Do I agree with the president today and some of the things that he's doing? No.
Okay, all right, there you go. So that was very interesting. Now, also very interesting, you see, is that Mr.
Nothing that I have in file, in records in Jamaica. I do.
Mr. Tapia is suggesting that Donald Tapia, found nothing to support alleged criminal conduct by Darrell Vaz based on dossier, in other words, a case or documents prepared under the People's National Party administration. You recall the apology that Dayton Campbell had to make to Mr. Vaz. What a bam bam. I tell you. Listen to Mr. Donald Tapia. As he, remember that Donald Tapia was the former U.S. ambassador to Jamaica. Fascinating to hear Mr. Tapia on this matter. Huh? Listen to him.
I saw nothing that I had in file, in records in Jamaica against Darrell Vaz. So what I did is I called all my intel, INS, the FBI, the drug administration. I called everybody into a meeting in the embassy all my officers there, and I said, I want you to research whatever files they have in Washington and all the files that we have here. And I want, within 30 days or with 45 days, I want a report of everything that they have against this minister. I didn't know Dale Vaz that well. All right, so let's make that clear. The person, our ROS, was very good news boss. And so when we read most of these things that the PNP threw at him was when his father was a minister, and Dale Vaz was he was like 19 or 21, somewhere in there, of him being a carrier of information and so forth within Jamaica. Now, when we sat down there in the embassy, we sat in the embassy, and every one of them, there was 14 people in that room. And we went through every challenge and every charge against Dale Vaz that was brought against Dale Vaz. And most of the charges was brought against Dale Vaz when his father and so forth was a minister, and he was connected to it. And most of those charges came from the PNP. Okay? Hearsay. There was never, and I repeated that 3 times, never anything in the files that was being archived in Washington, D.C. or archived there in Jamaica that brought Dale Vaz into handling, being involved in drugs, guns, narcotics. It was all hearsay.
By my God. You hear that? A dossier, you see? A dossier is basically a file folder. Information collected about a person. So they compiled a file on Mr. Vaz. And the United States Embassy ran an investigation on Mr. Vaz and found nothing. Nothing. Why I tell you?
I saw nothing.
I don't know. I don't know what. Lies, they say, have an expiry date, And these things are taking their time come out. They are taking their time to come out. What a fascinating country this is. We have boy, I am speechless. I am speechless. Boy. Speechless. Listen to it again. I want you listening to it again. I think it bears a second run. Listen again.
That I saw nothing. I saw nothing that I had in file, in records in Jamaica against Dale Vaz. So what I did is I called all my intel, INS, the FBI, the Drug Administration.
FBI, Drug Administration, out of the United States, to investigate a minister of government, because the dossier, the file, was compiled under the PNP. And you hear what Mr. You know what? I better leave that one here alone. Just play the tape.
Saw nothing. I saw nothing that I had in file, in records in Jamaica against Dale Vaz. So what I did is I called all my intel, INS, the the FBI, the drug administration. I called everybody into a meeting in the embassy, all my officers there. And I said, I want you to research whatever files they have in Washington and all the files that we have here. And I want, within 30 days or with 45 days, I want a report of everything that they have against this minister. I didn't know Dale Vaz that well. All right, so let's make that clear. The person, our ROS, was very good news boss. And so when we read most of these things that the PNP threw at him was when his father was a minister. And
when I read all of these things that the PNP threw at him, did you hear that? When I read all of these things that the PNP threw at him, this is being said, people of Jamaica, this is being said by a former United States ambassador. He says, I don't know Darrell Vaz. And when I saw the things that the PNP were trying to throw at him, listen to it again, man.
That the PNP threw at him was when his father was a minister, and Dale Vaz was he was like 19 or 21, somewhere in there.
From he was a teenager. Darrell Vaz was a mere teenager.
Being a carrier of information and so forth within Jamaica. Now, when we sat down there in the embassy, we sat in the embassy, and every one of them, there was 14 people in that room. And we went through every challenge and every charge against Dale Vaz that was brought against Dale Vaz. And most of the charges was brought against Dale Vaz when his father and so forth was a minister, and he was connected to it. And most of those charges came from the PNP. Okay? Hearsay. There was never, and I repeated that 3 times, never anything in the files that was being archived in Washington, D.C. or archived there in Jamaica that brought Dale Vaz into handling, being involved in drugs, guns, narcotics. It was all hearsay. I saw nothing.
There you have it. Boy, I tell you, fascinating stuff coming out of the former United States ambassador to Jamaica, Mr. Donald Tapia. The interview is there for all to listen. I can't spend any more time on that. I will have to go to another matter. In the spotlight,
asking everyone to repost the live, please.
Neighbors notes. I want you to listen to this. I want you to listen to this. And
we're in a brand new. Melissa has come and gone, and we're in a brand new hurricane season. And just this week, I asked the Prime Minister about these container homes and prefab homes and whatever you want to call it. That should have been deployed before December was out as an emergency mechanism instead of this grand idea to turn Jamaica into trailer park trash. And feel how you want, but I maintain the consistency that the issue is delay, and delay is coming from government.
Trailer park trash. They're turning Jamaica into trailer park trash. Wow. You know, when I heard that comment this afternoon, I had to listen to this tape several times because I could not believe what I was hearing. That the government is turning Jamaica into trailer park trash. You know, the opposition spokesman and chairman of the PNP, Angela Brownberg, suggested that the government was devaluing people. It was indignity for them to put up plaques in their homes saying that the houses were donated by the government of Jamaica. That's indignity. And here we have a member of that party calling the container homes trash. Trash. You know, when the PNP launched Operation Pride, and the people were living in Westmoreland, were the Operation Pride homes trash? What about before the hurricane, you see? How were those people living? What were the conditions? What were the conditions of what were the living conditions of the people in Westmoreland before the hurricane? Because I've driven through Westmoreland, and I've never seen any proper housing there. Westmoreland houses are on stilts, wooden stilts. Some people were living in shacks. No water. No proper toilet. Was that trash? And where was Mr. Buchanan? Where was Mr. Buchanan to speak up for those people who lived in those conditions for decades? Because let's be honest, for many of the people receiving these insulated container homes, with the greatest of respect, these are the best living conditions that these people have had from them born. The best living conditions they've had from them born. I want you to listen to one of the recipients. The Prime Minister actually said that he wanted to cry as he well. Listen to this. Listen to this.
We took a decision quite early that we would not give out the donations in grants. We would use the donations for tangible things. Things like these. So the installation of this walkway the building of the platforms, the sewer that is going to go at the back, the rails to make this functional. A part of this is funded by the contributions that came in from our diaspora and others. We have about 2,000 of these containers that we're going to deploy. To do this, the platform
2,000 to be deployed. Mr. Buchanan said them are trash. Trash. Insulated container homes with running water, flush toilet, electricity. Some of them have air conditioning. The PNP calls it trash. Trash.
Immediately after the hurricane, the government of Jamaica took a decision that we would acquire these housing solutions. They are rapidly deployed, modular, semi-permanent, pre-built solutions. Some people call them container homes, tiny homes, small homes. And it took some time to procure them because we had to buy them out of China and to bring them here. We wrapped up the procurement process in about 6 months. So from procurement to delivery. But then we encountered...
Did you hear that? From procurement to delivery, 6 months. Mr. Buchanan said that they should have been in the island from December. I don't know how they are going to come in the island from December when we don't have them here. They are coming all the way from China. But Buchanan calls them trash.
So this is basically a one-bedroom solution, or maybe a studio if you want to call it that. But we couldn't just come and give you the container by itself. We had to make the provisions. And one of the things that we are committed to doing is to ensure that the disposal of sewage is properly done. So this will be connected into the cisterns that are here. You will have both wastewater from the bathroom and the kitchen, and it will go into a septic tank, which will also be provided. So it's not just the cost of the container, it's the septic tank, it's the plumbing that's necessary, it's the foundation on which it is anchored, it's the connection for electricity and the provision of a water tank. And so all of those are very, very costly. You could be looking at anywhere from $300,000 to $600,000. Some might even be more, up to $1 million. So even though...
You hear that? $1 million houses the people living in. They came out of the shacks and they are now in $1 million houses. Mr. Buchanan called them shacks. Ah, boy, I tell you the truth. It is, I don't know how to comment on this, but bear with me. Let me get my thoughts together. Shacks, Mr. Buchanan, listen to one of the lady who gets, I think she got us a little social housing. Listen to how excited she is. Listen.
No all out, see a new house. Glass window, no board window. My name is Angela Anne-Marie Burke. Today it's a big day for me. Our house is going to open up at Angel Wellness. She's very, very good and happy. Thank the Lord. I'm showing me 60 about my house. I'm showing me 62 years, I'm 60. So God give me my wish and thank him very much. My whole house was bored and properly in the house up and everything and leak when rain fall and those things. It was bad, really bad. That rain time Melissa put the roof back on for me. Rain fall for me. Thank God for the families on the behalf of Donovan Williams. Thank you for getting a house and rain fall, we can get a good shade and I feel comfortable. All right.
That was one of the ladies who got one of the social houses. Mr. Buchanan calls the container homes shacks. Let me tell you something. Disaster relief houses is the number one use. That's these same container homes. The United States, after Katrina, FEMA used modified containers as temporary housing. The United States. And none of the United States senators or congressmen call them shacks. The United States is the richest country in the world, and they have and they use container homes. Shacks. Turkey, after the 2023 earthquake, thousands of container homes were set up by the government and Red Cross. Ukraine used container homes for displaced families and have been using them since 2022. The Netherlands used container homes. Over 1,000 plus student housing units are made from shipping containers. The United Kingdom have container cities in London, Docklands, offices and apartments also used for social housing projects in Bristol and Manchester. In Canada, Canada uses container homes. In the United States, China have massive container house constructions. South Africa, Australia, Brazil. Trash. You know how much to rent a container house in the United States? Huh? Some of them have been rented for hundreds of US dollars. Container homes. And the government of Jamaica ships container homes for its people, costing the government up to $1 million, taking the people out of pit latrines, and them not have to shower outside because the container homes have showers, flush toilet, face basin, and them get them with bunk beds. And listen to the opposition. Listen to the opposition, how they describe the container homes. Listen to him, opposition spokesman on human rights. What is human rights? What is human rights? To defecate in a scandal bag and wheel it and swing it down the gully. That's human rights? Mr. Buchanan is denouncing the approach of the government in deploying the container units as part of the Hurricane Melissa recovery. The US do it. Haiti, Puerto Rico, Turkey and Syria, Ukraine, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Canada, China, South Africa, Australia, Brazil. Mr. Buchanan was speaking in a podcast streamed on YouTube on Thursday. And Mr. Buchanan says the wide-scale and delayed distribution positions the beneficiary communities to become trailer parks. trailer parks. God Almighty. Trailer parks. I don't know how many of you know about conditions at Riverton. You know, it breaks my heart. You know, there are evenings when I come on this program and I'm lost for words.
Asking everyone to repost the live and to send a heart miss, please.
Because I just can't believe that these things are true. Listen to Mr. Buchanan again.
Melissa has come and gone, and we're in a brand new hurricane season. And just this week, I asked the Prime Minister about these container homes and prefab homes and whatever you want to call it that should have been deployed before December was out as an emergency mechanism instead of this grand idea to turn Jamaica into trailer park trash. And feel how you want, but I maintain the consistency that the issue is delay, and delay is coming from government.
You hear that? How do you respond to something like that? Because a container is just the building material. A container home has insulation. A container home has drywall, windows, plumbing, electricity. People in the Netherlands, Canada, US live in them by choice. And some of them pay high rent to live in container homes. Calling it trash confuses the material with the condition of poverty. That's what is insensitive. And when you introduce, Mr. Buchanan, that word trash into the lexicon of Jamaicans, every time people drive past the container homes, what are they going to think? They're going to remember the word trash. And Jamaica is not being turned into any container trash. The container homes are going into specific parts of the island. It's not the whole country. To say that Jamaica is being turned into trash is an exaggeration. It's hyperbole. And it erases all the permanent rebuilding happening too. This is the biggest part. If you just lost your roof and the government gives you a safe, dry container home, and then a politician comes on a podcast and call it trash, what does a mother tell her kids? Miss Junie, do you feel that the house is a trash, ma'am? What does that elderly man feel walking to his door when he pushes key in his door? That he's opening a trash? You call $1 million trash? How many people in Jamaica can afford $1 million? How many people in Jamaica want a container right now and can buy it? There are thousands of Jamaicans right now who would give God thanks for a container home. There are thousands of Jamaicans. The PNP General Secretary, Dayton Campbell, said that he visited one of their own and he take fast and look up. And when him look up, he was looking into the sky. That comrade would be very thankful for one of these trash. Me myself, I would have so happy for one of these container homes. You telling people who are already displaced that where they are living now makes them trash? That's the meaning, Mr. Buchanan. That strips the dignity. You know, leaders should be doing the opposite, you know. This is and let me ask you something. Portmore. You live at Portmore? Eltham Park? I used to live in Eltham Park. In a little box. Hot like furnace. When nighttime come, you have to put hose on the roof. We have to put hose on the roof to cool down the house. So you have to wet it. I'll never forget how we had to turn on a hose on the roof to cool it down. Trash. Look at what Portmore residents have done with their little one-bedroom thing. There are some down in Old Harbour, no bigger than the container homes. They don't have no floor in them. Starter units. And you call the people them container homes trash, man? A solid home. If we get another Melissa, the container roof can't blow off, you know. That is caring, that is telling to people that you're not forgotten. The Netherlands call it student housing innovation. Jamaica call it trash. The Netherlands calls it student housing innovation. Canada calls it supportive housing. The United States calls it modular emergency housing. Those countries focus on the function, the safety, the speed, the dignity. Jamaica calls it trash. Because Mr. Buchanan is not criticizing policy. He's mocking the people. And that's why it feels so wrong. If a great country like the United States can call it modular emergency housing, why couldn't we do the same? If Canada can call it supportive housing, why couldn't we do the same? If the Netherlands can call it supportive student housing, why we have to call it trash? Why we have to treat our people like this, man? Why we have to make poor people feel that them is at the bottom? Why we can't stoop down and lift people up? Container homes are not trash, Mr. Buchanan. Let's be honest. For many of the people receiving these homes right now, this is the best house they have ever lived in. They have running water. They don't have to throw up light at night time. when they want to do a number 2. To visit a friend in Spain years ago. I tell you a story. I had dropped my son to school, and my belly didn't feel so good. Yeah, my belly wasn't feeling so good. And I saw a lady, and I said, "Mom, can I borrow your bathroom?" And she said, "Well, you know, sir, I don't have no bathroom." I said, "What do you mean you don't have no bathroom?" He said, "No, I don't have no bathroom." So I said, because my belly really give me problem. I said, "What, Mr. I having an emergency?" She said, "Sir, I don't have no bathroom." I said, "Ma'am, how you mean you don't have no bathroom?" And she said, "You want to come and see?" And I said, "Okay, come, let me go on." It's a paint pan the lady took out with me. I'm not lying to you. One paint pan. You know paint pan? Oh boy, I tell you. Paint pan. So when I done with it, what me I go do? And she said, "Come on, don't worry yourself." Yes, Lord, have mercy upon we. Yeah, paint pan. She had no toilet. No toilet. Where's trash? It is a container home with a bed, a kitchen, and safety for people's children. What is trash is where people were living before, the conditions that the people were in, defecating in scandal bags and throwing them in gully. If anything was trash, it was decades of that left Jamaicans in substandard housing in the first place. That's trash. You don't lift people up by calling their shelter trash. You don't lift people up, Mr. Buchanan, by calling their shelter trash. You lift people up by giving them dignity, safety, and a path to something better. They are starter units. And if the people get jobs, they can add on a one room on them. And let me tell you something. Because I know this to be true. That these people, in another 5-6 years, if they acquire the lands, will turn these little homes into 2-3 bedroom units. Because they were no bigger in Portmore and Eltham Park and in Old Harbour. The little starter units were no bigger. And they were in worse condition than these were. That's what emergency container housing does. It's temporary, it's safe, it's now. So I have 3 questions for the opposition spokesman. What was your housing plan for the people in Westmoreland? What is your housing plan for the inner city communities? in rural Jamaica who were already living in conditions worse than these containers. Where was the outrage then? Where was the outrage for the people living in Riverton City right now? Where is the outrage? What is your plan today for the families displaced by Melissa? If not container homes in 60 days, then what? How long do they wait in shelters? The PNP complain to get them out of shelters. Now the PNP is complaining that they get container houses. What on God's earth is the government to do? Rent the Jamaica Pegasus and put them. Rent out the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel and put the people there. Or Rio. Just rent out the Rio Hotel in Ocho Rios and let them stay. We don't know what else we do for the people.
Asking everyone to repost the live.
Listeners, tell me what else would the government do? Believe me, guys, tell me what else should the government do? Let me go to YouTube. YouTube, can you tell me what else the government can do? I'm going to take some comments from YouTube. YouTube, please help me with this. Tell me what you think the government can do. Let me just give me a second there, listeners. I tell you, this is all fascinating stuff. Boy. Oh, I don't know what is happening here, but it appears as if we're just talking and we're not making much sense, man. We're not making much sense. The fact of the matter is that a sign that says gift of the government of Jamaica is not indignity. What is indignity is calling people's home trash. What an indignity is 40 years of politicians promising housing and delivering zinc, board and scandal bag. That is indignity. Don't talk to me about a sign. Talk to me about dignity. And dignity starts with a roof that doesn't leak. Is the indignity the sign, or the fact that after hurricane people have nowhere to sleep? Producer, open the lines. Let me hear what the callers have to say on this matter. Man, I have so many comments. YouTube, the PNP is never satisfied with whatever the government do, and I'm sure they could not have done better. That's what Renee Edwards is saying. Marlene P says the old prison but ever try hype on poor people. KC says the only addition I would ask the government to do is add a solar AC system. Wow. Give them AC. KC. Lady J says the government should ignore the PNP pleasantly. Okay. All right. I see that. Camille Edwards said PNP is a disgrace. Wow. KC says, tell who am I? I just tell you PNP friends don't take any that would make me happy. Okay. Neighbor, the only addition I would ask the government is to make the solar system. Okay. All right. I got that, KC. Okay. The only thing that will make the PNP happy is to be in power. That's at MD 9096 says that. Okay. Aisha Davis said, build more boardhouse for PNP, keep them poor. Violet Facey says her constituency want a good fixture. All right. Marlene P says PNP party only build houses and pit latrines for its supporters. Wow. So there you have it. Coming from Facebook. Caroline. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Give me some of the comments coming in from the chat from TikTok. What are the people saying on this matter?
The PNP is an enemy of the state.
Who's saying that?
Leslie, 1924. Star Girl Jalen, PNP is just nailing them coffin. And Blueberry said, if you put them in Rio, then them going to say it should have been sandals.
Yes.
And
That's a good one. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yes.
And Blueberry saying, these people sick stomach.
I tell you. All right, some more from Travels. They are just salty because they would have not thought about container homes. Shanley Elliott from the chat in YouTube. Glow Joe B says, buy each of them an acre of land and a furnished house. Added to that, a salary check each month. Look at that. Who I am says, I love my pit latrine from from back in the day. I dug many pit latrine as a boy. You have a son, your son can dig a pit latrine. I don't know what that call I said. They said PNP is colon cancer. PNP, I said that Judas. Blessed love, my friend Marlene. Okay, all right. What an amazing thing. Give me a few more from the comment section over TikTok, Caroline, please.
Patriot is saying PNP is like the dance. If they don't do it, they will. If they don't do it, they will tear it apart. Barbara Hudson is saying, isn't prison bud now going on like him is somebody that John Crow?
Wow. Yes. They're knocking eyes out.
Lulu is saying it was a blessing in disguise for some people, and I rest my
rest your case. All right. Prime stuff. What's happening there? What's happening? Hello, Gustav. Guys, you can't come up on the primetime show and you're not ready. Who you have there?
Gustav, please unmute.
Hello. Good evening to you, sir. No, he's not ready for us. Not ready for us. Do we have Scratchy? Can you get Scratchy for me? I tell you the truth. This is amazing stuff. Coming out of the PNP tonight. Are you there now, Gustav? Hello? Hello?
Neighbor, we have tax endurance.
Go ahead, caller. Hi. Caller, go ahead. Go ahead, caller. All right. No, we don't have anyone yet. So let's see if we can go back in and see if goes. Are you ready, Gustav? Bother to come up on the page. Okay. If they're not ready, then let me see if I can do a little bit more on this until the callers are ready. So the fact of the matter is that you don't want to hear nothing about sign. talk to me about dignity. And dignity starts with a roof over your head. Yes? Dignity starts with a roof over your head. So Miss Brownberg, what you have to say about this, ma'am? And I asked Jamaicans, what is the greater indignity? What is the greater indignity? Receiving a safe, insulated container home with a sign that says it came from your government? Or having an opposition spokesman go on national media and call the community you live in container house trash? What is the greatest indignity here? Fact of the matter is that we are in a disaster, or we are recovered from a disaster. People need roof now. That's what the former finance minister said in parliament. People need help now. We can debate signs later. But we will not debate whether Jamaican deserve to be spoken to with respect. The government will continue to put signs on houses and roofs over people's heads. The opposition can continue with their sound bites. And that is what Jamaica need to decide. Which one has more dignity? Are you there now, Gustav? Ian Thomas? Oh, I don't know what's happening to the callers tonight. Ian? Hello? Okay. Do we have Harry? Harry, hi.
Good night, neighbor.
Good night, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Night, Caroline. Neighbor, right, everybody?
Yeah. Harry, where you want to start tonight? We're back at it again. The opposition spokesman here talking about container trash. Is Mr. Isaac Buchanan calling the houses trash, sir?
Well, neighbor, this is all for sound bites and pretty much mockery of Jamaican people from Isaac Buchanan. I think he's also lost the touch of reality, neighbor, as to what it is required from both a government standpoint and also in an emergency situation. In fact, I don't think he is equipped with the level of intelligence on the matter as to how to handle these process. Because we have to understand this in a neighbor. Now, as somebody are them a lawyer means they are verbose when it comes on to specific areas and activities that are required throughout. Because of course, nobody knows everything. But I think Isaac Buchanan is showing up his level of ignorance on the matter of governance in its entirety and what is required when it comes on to handling a national disaster in terms of both meeting the people of what they need without compromising both their dignity, neighbor, and also the plan that you have to expand them and develop the area that they will be in going forward. So it's almost as if you are ensuring that they manage to have a roof over their head, but not just a roof.
Yes.
Something that can put them back on their feet, neighbor. Something tough. Right? I only believe, and this is one of the things I'd love for you, let's not call them container homes, neighbor, because of the rest of the world doesn't consider them that.
Correct.
We consider them as modular housings.
Right.
Right? What the People's National Party has been doing, especially with ISAT, is to degrade the architectural design of these housing. These housings can withstand and will withstand Category 5 hurricanes.
Yes.
They are built to that standard, not what was there before. And we see what happened with those, whatever people can call them. I won't call them anything. But more than that, say substandard housing developments that were there.
Pardon, Harry. The Netherlands calls it student housing innovation. Canada, supportive housing. The United States calls them modular emergency housing. I think Canada calls them by another name, but we call them trash.
Yeah.
And these are wealthier countries than we are, Harry. What is wrong with us here in Jamaica, man?
Neighbor, I can top you on that. Monaco was listed a few years ago with the most millionaires in the world. Monaco uses these architectural designs.
Yes.
So what are we on about? What is ISAT on about? What does he know about ensuring you keep people's pride and dignity intact, while also meeting them halfway, while also let them know that you're a government that cares and will do more for them? Let's put it this way: the starting point for this government, for those people, is the highest point the People's National Party had them at.
Say that again.
Put that in, neighbor. The starting point for this government, which is the lowest level, is the highest point that the People's National Party has had those people in the West.
But they weren't at any high point, sir. They weren't at no high point either.
And that is the situation. So if you are going to bash my starting point, because everybody start at the lowest, but this government shows you that our starting point is no dibby thing I will say in Jamaica. It is not no pit latrines. Neighbor, the last time I saw a pit latrine was over 2 decades ago. Right? And I am not versed in terms of going to Westmoreland, but I know persons who have gone down there, and they can confirm for me that is the state for a lot of areas in Westmoreland. Right? Jamaica has moved away from that model. Right? And when you look to see what the People's National Party has kept these people in, it shows you that these people weren't even at the level to be normal to the rest of Jamaica. They were strategically being held behind pretty much in captivity, neighbor. We're in the period where we're looking at emancipation and independence coming up soon. Those people didn't have any of the two. They thought they did. But the People's National Party ensured that their systematic politicking kept these people in accepting inhumane standards. And that's a statement I will not take back, because the evidence is there. So when you are now bitter and calling these modular houses trash, then what would you classify the party that he's a part of have kept these people at for such a long time? Because it can't be trash, if it's below it. And when we put it into greater perspective, neighbor, understand that these are housing solutions that will last a minimum 25 to 50 years with minimal maintenance. These are also starting homes for small families. You don't expect the government to come give you 3, 4, 5 bedroom house, family housing. No. What the government is there to do is to meet you at a level where you can still not just be on your feet, neighbor, but buy yourself some time, because when the other developments come, you wouldn't have to be worrying about how am I going to try get a little work and try to put a roof over my head. You already have a roof. So you have a starting point, a better starting point that a lot of these people grew up in. And what this does now is, as these people handle their development, neighbor, because this is a start, people need to understand that this is not permanent house where you're supposed to have generation upon generation come live. If you put your head on your body, you start here and you develop going further. This is not something where we want to say Westmoreland and these other areas turn out into Portmore, where we see a lot of these things joining on and each up. Jamaica's beyond that. That imagery is a perfect imagery as to how the People's National Party treated Jamaicans overall, neighbor. And that is not something we're looking to do going forward. The road to Singapore with Jamaica in it does not have any room for those type of settings, because we believe in these people being very proud of their settlement.
Yes.
They have the highest level of dignity and that they can look with their head held high to say, I have faith in the government because they have helped me. I know it is my turn to help myself push on and to also contribute to Jamaica's development going forward. That is what these things are there for.
Am I not correct? Am I not correct, Harry, that when you mock people's shelter, you are mocking the people who are living inside the shelter?
But it is one of the biggest disrespect you can give to any Jamaican.
How would you feel if somebody call where you live what do you call it, trash housing scheme? How would you feel?
Neighbor, I don't worry about, man. Because what you're saying to me now is that I am no better than the trash. That I am the lowest scum of the earth. That is how you stomp on a man's pride in a neighbor. Because understand this. Majority, and when I say majority, 99.9% of human beings, the biggest accomplishment that they always want to have is a home. And when you degrade and class it as the lowest level of unused thing, something that anybody would refuse, you're stomping on the existence of that man, that woman, of that family. And it is exactly the stance that Isaac Buchanan took. And that is the stance of the People's National Party, because he wasn't speaking as an individual, but as a representative of the party. You think
Mr. Buchanan is degrading the people living in these container homes when he calls it trash?
Of course he is, neighbor. He won't come out and say it explicitly to say that's what he meant. He's going to try and put a twist on it. But those are the words echo throughout society. And the beautiful thing, neighbor, these things are on recordings. So he can't shy away from it.
Yes.
And if he knows, this is the thing, and I blame the people of Jamaica. Specifically, he's what? In West Rural Portland, I blame them. I don't normally blame Jamaicans in a neighbor, but I blame them to put somebody up.
God.
Ready, not even himself.
You don't think he should be there?
He, neighbor, just like how he classifies these homes as trash, that is the level of him in our parliament. He's not ready to lead. That's not leadership. That's not statesman-like. That's not somebody who has the best interests of Jamaica and Jamaicans. You can't be putting down your fellow brethren while you want to lead them. I can't trust you if you classify me. And this is the thing, neighbor. You see, when you get idiots over here, this is the state that we get. This is ourselves. We've said it, neighbor. These do not eat for any form of.
It is correct, and it's a lack of leadership for him to be speaking like that. You're correct. Yes.
It's one of the biggest irresponsibilities you can do as somebody who holds a level of power, neighbor. And I do hope and pray elections. These are all one-term member of parliaments.
Yes, sir. It's a real lack of leadership for you to be talking like that about Jamaican people. It's very unfortunate. I must tell you the truth. Very, very unfortunate.
And I want to tell them. Very people. What is that? Nobody better capacity and capability to lead us. Because you put and speak in this manner is a reflection of leader and leadership of our country. If they don't have the majority and wielding power as a governance and part of the Egypt structure, democracy, and if this is the type of person you want in that structure, then it says a lot about those people who ensured that it put them there.
Yeah. You're breaking up a little, the Harry. Hold on there for me. Do we have another caller? Good evening, caller. Hello. Hello. Do we have another caller? Caller. Hello. Okay. I don't think we have. Good evening, caller. No, we don't. I don't understand why. Anyway, I'm getting a feedback here. I'm not so sure why. Good night, caller. Hello. Hello, caller. Hello. Good night, caller. Hello. Why I tell you. Hello, caller.
Neighbor, you are breaking up. We're not able to hear you well.
Not hearing me well? Okay. I don't know what I think we're having some challenges here. Our connectivity. Okay, so we can disconnect that. I hope you're hearing me better. I think you are. Okay, let me see what's happening here.
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Quiet Storm, can you unmute, please?
Good night, sir. Hello? I don't know what happened to these people who... Hello? Oh, boy. The people...
Neighbor, I think they're just tappers. They're not trying to join the conversation.
Okay, all right. Okay, Alex, good night. Hello, Alex? No, all right. Harry?
Yes, neighbor.
Yeah, so Harry, I don't know if you remember the PNP, Brownberg had come out to talk about indignity, the indignity of putting the signs on these houses. And here you have a member of the PNP today coming out with this. I wonder what the PNP will say about Mr. Buchanan's comment if they do not agree with it. Do you think this is the position of the party, or you think it's Buchanan on a frolic of his own?
Neighbor, this is the thing about it. The elected individuals are held at a different standard than others. And you have to be very careful and calculative as to what you say, how you say, and what capacity you say it in. And here's the worst part for Aishat. The worst part is that he cannot differentiate based on the capacity that he said it in from the views of the People's National Party. Because he wasn't speaking as just an individual. And even when you're speaking as an individual, you are still an extension of a member of parliament and a legislator.
Yes.
You echo the views. Remember, you're now also a part of the People's National Party, who is the opposition. So whatever is your thought process, you have to be very careful as to what you say, because it is an extension. Because put it this way, for those who work in the corporate world, neighbor, your actions in your individual capacity have a bearing on the company.
Right, so
because whatever actions or inaction that you take, which puts you in, let's say, the running with the law, you won't see it just say hello neighbor. It's going to say hello neighbor from the Politics Plus network.
Quite so. Yes, sir.
And then no neighbor. That falls onto extension of Scratchy, extension of me, extension of Caroline, and everybody else who is a part of the program.
Yes.
And that is how you have to operate in a responsible manner. But what we've understood is that the People's National Party and its individuals will just run off them mouth because what? The truth is Jamaicans don't hold them accountable to the standard that they should be held. And they certainly don't hold them to the level of the Jamaica Labour Party and the current administration.
Quite so. Very, very true. Alex, are you there now? No. All right.
Yeah, I did connect me earlier.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I was just here listening to and listening to different people on the political side of things. Give me a second. And some of the things I hear, because every day you turn on TikTok, PNP always have some sort of misleading information bringing on the media, you know. And sort of things, for example, I don't know if this is a topic, but there's this big news going around with this police. I don't know if you've heard about it, where they found the police unalive, which is true. The PNP narrative is that somebody in the station do it. He knew too much information, so somebody unalive. That's their narrative. They don't take their time to investigate the matter. They immediately create their own narrative for their viewers, which I find ridiculous. Right? So they are trying to sell something, and it's always misinformation. You look at the tape where one of the members from the People's National Party Executive Committee made a statement saying that they want to pin some sort of corruption to Anthony Anderson. Right? When a PNP member can say something like that, it's very sick. Right? And bad for the party. Mark Golan is trying to, stay far from it, but it's one of their party's members said it. Right? So this show who they actually are. Nothing that they say anymore, we can't believe them because this one recording opened up a floodgate.
Yeah. We are focusing a little bit though on the delivery of control many persons who were affected by Hurricane Melissa, and the opposition, Isaac Buchanan, are calling them trash. What do you think about that?
Colin, I think that Isaac Buchanan is that guy's just looking for clicks, So he's saying anything to get a couple likes, couple views, and a couple gifts. So whatever catches the audience, that's what he goes with. So seeing that the
hold on, sir. Hold on. Mr. Buchanan, is a member of parliament. And you are saying to me that a member of parliament is going for clicks and likes? A member of parliament in Jamaica, sir?
He is going for clicks and likes. He wants that fame. He doesn't feel like he reached that level yet, so he's digging up for it. So he's behaving like Nikisha Burchell in a way. Look at Nikisha Burchell. She's all over TikTok. She say anything that the stupid PNP attached to. So anything that, works, that's what they go with, right? Because they are looking for clicks, they are looking for views and couple gifts, right? Because you would say that he's an MP, but yet still he's on live with such person like Rosalie. When you look at Rosalie is not a person to be on live with.
What happened to Rosalie?
She's a. You know what happened to Rosalie?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't know what happened to her.
No, when somebody can be on live with somebody like Rosalie, so despicable.
No. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say she's despicable. I probably she probably she probably
But these container homes are going to help thousands of Jamaicans.
Yes.
People, right? They have to start somewhere. They can't start with concrete houses. So we have to start with what we can work with. And as I said, it's going to help thousands of people. They don't want to talk about how many people is going to benefit from this. They just want to look at the negative side of things because that's who the PNP are. Look on the positive because they didn't win the election in 2025. So they are trying to
well, he's breaking up.
run with till the next election, which is going to be in 2030.
Yeah, we
and
have
so they run with the container houses. They run with so much things because they want to win the next election. Their objective is to win the next election, even if it means tearing down the government. That's what they're going to do.
Yes. I want to press you a little bit more though. If you are saying to me, Alex, that we are operating in a society where members of parliament are appearing on lives with people of characters that you do not admire, and you are saying to me that our members of parliament, or at least those on the PNC side, are looking for clicks and likes. These are leaders of our country. Alex, these are leaders of our country. How do you make such a comment?
Leaders of this world, right? We have seen they do some weird things we question every day. We have seen Nikisha Burchell in the parliament behaving in some manner. And you say leader as if they are, like we have seen them in parliament behaving like grade 1 child, right? I've listened to most of the part. I haven't watched Parliament often because when I watch Parliament and you look at these people, you call leader, they are behaving like they're in grade 1 and grade 2, you know, the classroom that makes a lot of noise. Alright, so I don't know. As I said before, Damian Crawford, Nikisha Burchell, Isaac Buchanan, whatever his name is, they all have an agenda, right? Spread misinformation, hope that the people, the stupid people, which is the PNP, buy into this misinformation, right? But that's their main objective, and they know how to do it, and that's what they're doing, right? Because these people are somewhat intelligent, so they are playing mind games with the Jamaican people because they know that Jamaican people do not like to research. So whenever they say something, they know that, okay, these people are not going to look into this deep. They're just going to take word of mouth and run with it. And that's what they're hoping.
Wow. Well, I tell you, sir, I trust you will have a great night. Take care, and thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Great. Scratchy, hi. Good night, Scratchy.
Good night, neighbor. Blessed night, neighbor.
Blessed night to you.
Caroline, my bro. Everyone, pick up enough over the planet.
Scratchy, I have had to make some adjustment before I came on. I had a different program planned tonight. I wanted to look at Jamaica's independence and how we have, you know, moved from colonialism to independence, to the contributions of both major political parties. But just before I came on here, I was sent this piece of voice note by Mr. Isaac Buchanan. Did you hear Mr. Buchanan, Scratchy? Not sure what's happening.
In regards to the container, so if I didn't make a statement in regards to the container,
yes, that Jamaica is being turned into a container trash. Scratchy, you live in Canada, and I had to do some quick research, and I found that even in Canada, people live in container homes. Why would we have a legislator calling our people, or where our people live, trash, Scratchy? That's not nice or acceptable. Concerning?
Definitely concerning, neighbor, in terms of don't play, neighbor, whatever solution the government is trying to put in place, neighbor, for the persons who are affected by Hurricane Melissa. I'm not saying, neighbor, I tell you, neighbor, the PNP, they are flip-flop, neighbor, they are some hypocrites. But the same PNP, neighbor, before Hurricane Melissa came about, neighbor, the government neighbor was researching neighbor the possibility neighbor of introducing these containerized houses neighbor to Jamaica. And at the time, neighbor, the PNP was against these container houses neighbor. No person in particular, Dayton Campbell, came out neighbor and was hitting out and fire against these type of houses neighbor. And then neighbor, right after Hurricane Melissa devastation neighbor, to the same Dayton Campbell and the PNP neighbor who was calling neighbor for a massive rollout neighbor and a fast rollout of container housing neighbor.
Yes.
For persons who were affected. So it shows us neighbor how hypocrite the PNP is now. The government neighbor said, the government yielded to their call and agreed and said, yes, we're gonna send for some containerized housing for these persons neighbor, and the PNP was in agreement with it. And to know here someone neighbor, member of parliament from the PNP side neighbor coming out and calling it container trash and stuff like that neighbor, it definitely causes some type of concern as to what the PNP really want for these
and this is what I'm trying to ask. What is it that the government of Jamaica is to do for these people? And I can only think to rent Rio and put them so.
Exactly, I think that is what the PNP want neighbor. The PNP want us to want the government to rent Palladium, rent Sanders neighbor, and put these persons up over an extended period of time. And I can tell you this neighbor, and it doesn't take rocket science neighbor. These container houses neighbor are in better condition than the houses that a lot of these persons lost.
Absolutely.
A lot of the houses that were damaged and lost in Hurricane Melissa neighbor, the container houses are in better condition.
The Prime Minister is saying that they cost up to $1 million.
Cost up to $1 million neighbor. So I can't see why the PNP is against it. And this is why our political landscape neighbor right now we saw it is so neighbor we know you can't understand what is going on because yes you have the Jamaican Labour Party who is the government neighbor, whatever message is coming from the Jamaican Labour Party, it is coming from one hymn book. But over the People's National Party side neighbor, it look like everybody has their own hymn book neighbor singing from. So it look like the leader is singing Amazing Grace neighbor. Meanwhile, it look like Mr. Buchanan is singing a different song in the hymn book. So they are not on the same tune neighbor. They are not on the same part. And sometimes I beg to wonder if it is because of the leadership race that is expected to come within the PNP neighbor. I think that there are some members of that party who is trying to cause some type of problem neighbor because one side of the party, the risers are basically batting for these container houses neighbor. And to know that Isaac Buchanan now after your leadership, no other lesser person than your general secretary is calling for the quick and a massive rollout of these container housing, and you come against your general secretary now statement and say the government is turning the country in a container trash. So I think neighbor, it is very concerning neighbor. A lot of these houses neighbor that were in Westmoreland in particular neighbor, they were eyesore. They were houses neighbor that were not fit for living condition. And neighbor, as bad as Hurricane Melissa is, or Hurricane Melissa was, a lot of these houses neighbor lost and become and were totally damaged and destroyed neighbor. Yes, Melissa did kill some wins neighbor that one, but we saw houses neighbor that stood up against Melissa. We saw houses neighbor that got minimum damage neighbor as a result of Melissa. But a lot of these houses that were totally devastated neighbor are houses neighbor that should have been gone long. It never take Melissa to blow away these houses neighbor. Anybody could have blown away some of these houses. So the PNP just need to wheel and come again. And just understand that the government is that. After these containerized houses neighbor, I hear the Minister Montague speaking about them neighbor, the rolling out of them. And one of the key word that I heard the minister use neighbor was temporary neighbor.
Yes.
So a lot of these houses are a temporary solution neighbor. A lot of them is not permanent living solution for these people. It's temporary neighbor because the government don't want some of these persons to go and build back houses in some of these areas and build back houses at the same condition that they were, and come next hurricane season, we'll go through the same thing again. The government just want to make sure that they put these people in a temporary situation and get proper planning and develop back these places neighbor properly neighbor.
Don't you think though, Scratchy, that there's something demeaning about the statement for the individuals going to living in these communities? Because when you introduce a word like trash into people's lexicon, into people's vocabulary, then every time people drive past there or they see them, they'll think that these people are living in trash. Don't you think that Mr. Buchanan should withdraw this word?
It is a tool.
Scratchy breaking up there.
I disrespect neighbor to Mr. Buchanan. You hear me now?
I'm hearing you now. Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me now, neighbor?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm saying it's a total disrespect, neighbor, to the person. Yes, a total disrespect to the person's neighbor who suffer damages or losses, neighbor, in hurricane. It is a total disrespect, neighbor, to our country itself, neighbor, and to our government, neighbor, who's trying its utmost best to put these persons, neighbor, in better condition that they are coming from. And it is not new, neighbor. It is not new for Isaac Buchanan, neighbor, to come out, neighbor, and speak. I use certain terms, neighbor, to criticize and use against our population, neighbor. You know, he has done it before on more than one occasion, neighbor. And for someone like Isaac Buchanan, neighbor, who has his own story, neighbor, that is not in the best interest of a lot of us as Jamaicans, neighbor, who have its own bad story, neighbor. I don't think, neighbor, someone like him should be the one, neighbor, who's calling anyone trash, because I don't think, neighbor, I have to disrespect Mr. Buchanan or anything, neighbor, but before all of this fame and everything, neighbor, whatever, I don't think Mr. Buchanan was much far from being seen as neighbor.
No.
This is from someone like Mr. Buchanan, neighbor, who I believe, neighbor, has lived certain level of life in Jamaica. Total disrespect, neighbor. Total disrespect. And I don't want Mr. Buchanan, neighbor, to feel that because he's not a member of parliament, neighbor, like him think that he's much better than persons.
Yeah, we're breaking up. I don't know if
still not hearing me, neighbor?
No, you are breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
I don't know what's causing that.
Okay, go ahead. They say they're hearing you.
Yeah, so I don't know what is going on with Mr. Buchanan, neighbor. Mr. Buchanan is displaying some style, neighbor, that personally, neighbor, I don't like a lot of the style that this guy portray, neighbor. It's social media style, neighbor. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not gonna say, neighbor, that he cannot go on a live with persons like Rosalie, and I'm not gonna say that I try to judge Rosalie in any way, shape, or form, because I strongly believe, neighbor, that these are the same persons who politicians ask to vote for them, neighbor.
Yes.
So if you can ask these same persons to vote for you, I don't have a conversation and you can mingle and talk with them. So I'm not gonna bash Rosalie or say she's this or she's that, so he's not supposed to be on a live with her. He can be on a live with anybody, neighbor. But it's how he conducts himself, neighbor, as a member of parliament, and it's how he also, neighbor, like whosoever he's hosting and his life conduct themselves, neighbor. That he's a member of parliament, whatever these persons do, neighbor, can be seen as are used against him in some way, shape, or form. So I don't have an issue about who he wants to go on in life, but I have an issue with his action and his behavior in his life. That's what I have an issue with.
Okay. Do you think that they should come out on their position on these container homes? Because Mr. Buchanan was speaking on a podcast. I don't know whether or not this represents the party's position, but this is where leadership becomes lacking in a party like that, Scratch. Because shouldn't the leader have come out and says, no, this is not the position of the party. These people are getting these modular homes as starter units, and we support it. They should have come in already. Isn't that what we have the consensus on, bringing these containers? Did you remember when Floyd Morris, the visually impaired senator, was asking about where the home them there?
Exactly, neighbor. A few weeks ago, neighbor, he was very strong, asking about where are the homes and the home that they hear the government to tell. And I know that the government, neighbor, share them and present these homes, neighbor, and roll out a certain amount of these homes on a phase basis, neighbor. It is now being criticized. And yes, neighbor, good leadership, neighbor, or if it was a political party that is being run, neighbor, with some form of leadership, neighbor, Isaac Buchanan will be reprimanded, neighbor. Isaac Buchanan will be called out. And the leadership of that party will make a statement, neighbor, to say that whatever Isaac Buchanan said, neighbor, that is not their position, and try to distance themselves from that type of thing, neighbor. Because majority, and I'm not trying to play politics here, but it's a reality. Sometimes we can think the reality is a reality, neighbor. Majority of the persons, neighbor, who are in need of government assistance, who are in need of these type of housing, neighbor, are persons who support the People's National Party, neighbor. I am telling you, I am not asking anyone, I am telling you in Westmoreland, in Nova. I'm not saying that they don't have persons who support the Jamaica Labour Party who need these type of houses. Of course. Destroy lives. Destroy lives. No, but majority of them, neighbor, is persons who support the PNP, neighbor. And for Isaac Buchanan to come out and say this, neighbor, I don't think Isaac Buchanan is attacking the people, or he wanted to make it look like he's attacking the people. And I don't think, neighbor, he's trying to make it look like he's attacking the government. Because anyone who get one of these container houses, neighbor, I can tell that the people is going to be grateful for it, neighbor. I think what we are seeing is the runoff or the spin-off, neighbor, of the political divide that is inside the People's National Party. That is what is being displayed to us, neighbor, right now, neighbor. That is what we are getting. We are not getting nothing from the opposition, neighbor. All we are getting right now, neighbor, is the opposition competing against its one another, competing against itself, neighbor. Risers versus Team Crawford, neighbor. And that is exactly what is going on. Trying to make persons' position in the party where they make look bad, to make the hierarchy of the party look bad, because they know that members of the hierarchy of the party want these containerized houses, neighbor. And Musa Buchanan is just trying to create some form of bad energy and bad vibe, neighbor, to damage themselves. He's campaigning. His campaigning going on at his highest level, campaigning about the detriment and the sufferation at Jamaicans, neighbor. That is what is going on. PNP is campaigning.
Tell me the truth, Scratchy. Aren't there thousands of Jamaicans right now who would be very happy if they got one of these container homes?
Yeah, but the housing solution, neighbor, has always been a big issue in Jamaica, neighbor. Majority of our population and majority of our country, neighbor, live in sub-living condition housing. Not in a house. A lot of our population, neighbor, live in rooms. You know, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. Our persons try to fit it to a certain way, neighbor, to make it look like a house. But in real sense, neighbor, these are not really houses. These are rooms, you know.
One room. They live in a one room.
Yeah, these are just rooms, neighbor.
And these one rooms, some of them are made out of plyboard, and they don't have a bathroom or a kitchen in there.
Plyboard, neighbor. No bathroom, no kitchen, no proper fitting to certain level, neighbor. So these containerized houses, neighbor, are in better condition, neighbor, than a lot of the houses that persons are living in Jamaica, neighbor. A lot of these so-called one-bedroom houses, neighbor, if we should use these container houses, neighbor, to substitute them, neighbor, it will help, neighbor, with facelift of a lot of communities. A lot of communities will start to look better, neighbor. And if we can't, like what the government is doing now, if we continue to create schemes and stuff like that with these houses, neighbor, it will lead to some form of order. It will help us. It will help the government in the long run, because social order is what Jamaica is affected by big, because of how persons just spread across the length and breadth of the country in terms of where you want to live. Everybody is going to take up somewhere to live. So the government can use these containerized houses, neighbor, to put persons within specific areas that have all the functions that living need, neighbor, in terms of sewage, water, neighbor, proper disposal of waste and stuff like that. It will be great, neighbor. It will be a good thing for the country. Nothing is wrong with these houses, neighbor. In Canada, every single house here in Canada is board house, neighbor. If you should take out the front fittings off of some of these houses in Canada, neighbor, and you should see them, you will be shocked. You'll be shocked, neighbor, to know that it's just pull before and lot and build up these board houses, neighbor, and drywall. It's board houses. So I don't see nothing wrong with these containerized houses, neighbor. Not one thing is wrong with them.
Yeah. No, Scratchy. Maybe I'm asking you to double down on this a bit for me. But what is the PNP's really asking the Jamaican government to do in a condition like this? Really, it is so frustrating, Scratchy, because the government is saying that procurement and all of that took them almost 6 months, because the container house had to be ordered and insulated and fitted, shipped to Jamaica. It would take a little time, Scratchy.
The container houses, neighbor, are not. The government didn't just went on a white shopping, neighbor, in terms of gathering these container houses, neighbor. The government had to, I know, neighbor, that the government had to make the whosoever again the contract, neighbor. There were some specifications that the government wanted these houses to meet, neighbor, to fit to fit our condition, neighbor. And those things have to be put in place, neighbor. They have to be ordered. They're a procurement process, neighbor. They are not coming from St. James, neighbor, and going to Hanover. They are coming from all the way from around the world, I believe China and those places, neighbor. Those things take time. And when it do reach again, neighbor, proper clearing, proper documentation, proper auditing again has to be done in terms of making sure that we get what we wanted. You know, testing of them to make sure that they're at the right standard and the right condition that we are at.
Yes.
So that taxpayer money is not didn't go to waste. So it takes time. As to what the PNP really want, neighbor, I don't think the PNP wants anything. The PNP do not want these people, neighbor, to get any type of living condition, neighbor, that helps in regard to raising the standard of living that they are coming from. The PNP want these persons to go right back in the dilapidated condition that they were living in. The PNP want these persons to go right back into the slum that they were living. The PNP want these persons to go right back to living like cats and dogs and rats and roaches, neighbor, in terms of the living condition that they were in. No sewage, no light, no proper electricity, no proper water system, potable water system or anything like that. That is what PNP continues to want, neighbor. The People's National Party, neighbor, no, neighbor, that with these containerized housing solution being distributed to these persons, neighbor, it is much better than PNP gave these persons 20 and 30 years ago, neighbor. And these persons were so appreciated to the PNP, neighbor, for plywood and zinc. They're going to be more, the PNPs of the view that with these container housing, they're going to be much more appreciated now, neighbor, to the Jamaica Labour Party government that is in power. Because the greatest thing that any man can achieve in his life, neighbor, is a house.
Is a house, yes.
A house is the greatest achievement you can get in your life. And if you have a government who cares so much, who can give you what it costs $1 million, you know, in your life.
My
so
God.
You would never see $1 million in your life.
And then people can add to these homes eventually, Scratchy.
People can add to these homes eventually. People can live in better condition. People can go to sleep and feel more comfortable, neighbor. People can wake up and want to put in work and feel relieved knowing that they are sleeping in a house, neighbor, where it is not leaking. They are sleeping in a house, neighbor, where it have a lot of the fittings of that house, neighbor, make it really feel like a home.
And if another hurricane come, them roof will not be blown off.
If a next hurricane come, you are much more stronger to go in to face that hurricane. They might come out much more stronger than the last time, neighbor. The People's National Party is afraid, neighbor, that these people who supported them over an extended period of time, neighbor, for the zinc and plywood houses that they had offered to them, neighbor, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and then those houses have now blown and gone, neighbor. Then Hurricane Melissa, neighbor, I want to say something, but I don't want to sound insensitive. I don't want to sound cruel, neighbor. But I sympathize with everyone, neighbor, who suffered any form of loss, whether through life, or through limb, or through furniture, or through your house, neighbor. But neighbor, I'm going to say it, because I don't hold a political office. I don't have to be politically correct. But from a human standpoint, I don't want to seem insensitive, or like I don't have any form of humor, neighbor. Hurricane Melissa, and this, guys, is going to be one of the best things that ever happened to Jamaica.
What do you mean by that?
Hurricane Melissa, neighbor, under this skies, neighbor, is going to be probably one of the best, neighbor. If Hurricane Melissa did not come, this Nara thing here, neighbor, it will get the opportunity to be rolled out like how it is rolled out, neighbor. This massive development that was coming, neighbor, it will get to be rolled out on this massive.
And these people would still be living in shacks.
These people would be still living in shacks, neighbor. This massive funding and loans and grants that the government managed to pull on to aid in assisting going forward in the reconstruction and the redevelopment of this area, neighbor. We wouldn't get that big package that one time, neighbor, for neighbor, Hurricane Melissa, as bad as it may seem, and I don't want anybody to say I'm insensitive, neighbor. And in this, them talk about blessing in disguise. Hurricane Melissa, neighbor, was Jamaica's blessing in disguise, neighbor. Hurricane Melissa is the reason why a lot of things will be unlocked. Hurricane Melissa is going to shape and make a lot of persons rethink, neighbor. Change persons' thinking, change persons' belief, change persons' understanding. Hurricane Melissa caused that, neighbor. and watch and see. Hurricane Melissa is probably one of the best things neighbor that ever happened. As much as it come with destruction, as much as it come with devastation, and as much as Jamaicans and a lot of Jamaicans life as a result of it, neighbor, there is good out of it, neighbor, and there's a lot of benefit coming for the country. I didn't want to say it and sound insensitive, but it's the truth. It is the truth, neighbor. That is what the PNP is afraid of. The rapid development, the rapid infrastructure change that is to come within these areas and these people who support them. Because where I think the government wanted NARA to be a part of our legislative system, because the government want no neighbor that a lot of things that they're going to do with NARA, neighbor. The government know that they have to be backed by legislation with it, neighbor. Because I can tell you, neighbor, a lot of these communities, neighbor, they're not going to be communities anymore. Persons are going to have to be moved out of these communities and put in different places. These are going to affect votes, neighbor. If you look at the last election, neighbor, and look at the 14 constituencies that the People's National Party win, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but neighbor, I don't think the PNP win 5 out of these 14 constituencies by more than 1,000 votes. The PNP don't win 5 out of these constituencies by more than 1,000 votes, neighbor. And what NARA is about, neighbor, the reconstruction, the redeployment and the redevelopment of Jamaica, neighbor, and proper town and country planning, neighbor, in terms of making sure that designated areas are selected for residential areas for living. Designated areas are selected for commerce and businesses and shopping. It is going to affect the People's National Party, neighbor, because a lot of these communities that are called informal, is PNP living them. Is PNP put people to go settle down there and let the place run overpopulated. And a lot of these communities are going to change. They are not going to be here anymore. So votes are going to be distributed all over the place. Votes are going to be erupted. Persons are going to say, oh, I am more appreciative of the Jamaica Labour Party because PNP they give me one board house and it never fully good. Jamaica Labour Party give me good house and I feel like say I want to show my respect or show my appreciation to this government by voting for them come 2030. That is what the PNP is afraid of, neighbor. All the PNP is seeing is politics, neighbor. Them cannot see. So okay, we might lose the 2030 election, but at least the country will develop. Make a push the development of the country and then we'll see we can come back after 2030. They are not going to do that, neighbor. They might try to obstruct every single thing because the PNP know that now. You hear what them saying at the voice note? The Jamaica Labour Party supporters and the Labour Party see NARA as the vehicle for 4th term. That is all the PNP see, neighbor. Politics. It's not we see NARA as our victory for 4th term, neighbor. We know that we could gain a 4th term without NARA. The PNP definitely see NARA, neighbor, as the biggest political threat. The biggest political threat, that is what them see NARA with, because what NARA is coming with, neighbor, the malignant use of money can't match NARA. NARA is over $1 trillion, $1 trillion or more. PNP can't find that. They can't compete with NARA, neighbor. That is what they're afraid of, man. The development and the advancement of the country that NARA is coming with.
Asking everyone to tap the screen and repost and to send a heart news, please.
Wow, fantastic. YouTube, you're still with me? Well, great. Thanks for the heart knees. Thank you for sharing and thank you for staying with us. Do we have any other caller over there? Rag, hello? Rag, are you there? No. Rag? Hello? No, not there. So Scratchy, the fact of the matter is that there is politics. There is politics involved in all of this, eh?
From the opposition side, neighbor, the government, if you look at even how the government has rolled out this legislation called NARA, neighbor, the government has strategically, neighbor, tried its best, neighbor, to stay away from NARA, the C, neighbor, from NARA, the use as a political tool. It is the People's National Party, neighbor, the opposition who's pushing that agenda, trying to push NARA as a political tool. As a political tool, the government did not buy into it, neighbor. The People's National Party, neighbor, don't see NARA as the tool or the vehicle, neighbor, that will advance Jamaica interest, neighbor, and that will finally, neighbor, deal with the infrastructure decay and the infrastructure problem that Jamaica has been suffering from, neighbor, over an extended period of time. The PNP don't see that, neighbor. Their interest is not in that. all the PNPs neighbor is whether they will be able neighbor to be competitive or to win the 2030 general election. And they have to view neighbor that with the funding behind NARA, with the legislation backing behind NARA, and bypassing anything that has to do with PNP neighbor in terms of their ability to sabotage NARA neighbor, pushing away those things to the side neighbor. They are so afraid of it neighbor because they know what NARA is about. They know NARA is about national development, and as I said before neighbor, the greatest thing that you can do for a man neighbor is give him a man can achieve is a house. If you look at these type of houses, if you look at the infrastructure development that is coming neighbor with NARA, the People's National Party is afraid of it neighbor. And the reason why, sometimes I hear people sometimes people talk neighbor and people say that I always tell people this in a neighbor, that this PNP that we're seeing now neighbor,
yes,
the poor leadership, the thing that is bad about this opposition party neighbor, it is, a lot of people think it is just as a result neighbor of the PNP not being good neighbor. It is not as a result of the PNP not being good neighbor. It is as a result neighbor of the good work that the Jamaica Labour Party is doing neighbor. That is what is turning the PNP into this mad group or mad organization neighbor. I always tell people neighbor that I don't see how you can have a good government plus have a good opposition at the same time. That is, to me, that is impossible, neighbor. They don't go hand in hand. If you have a good government, you're going to have a poor opposition. If you have a good opposition, it simply means that you have a poor government. And the reason why we have a poor opposition right now is because we have a good government, neighbor. The opposition cannot gain any traction and cannot gain any form of anything, neighbor, because the government is doing so good. Everything that the opposition try to blunder, it fly right back in their face. It is as a result because the government is doing good, neighbor. People don't vote in opposition party, People vote out government. That is how opposition party become government. By people having some form of disagreement or not in agreement with the government and decide say, yo, we don't like how this government is operating, so we're going to vote them out. Nobody don't go vote in opposition and say, we like the opposition, man. The opposition is good. The opposition is great. I'm going to vote for them. No. It's vexed. People vex with government why they vote in opposition. Why opposition become government. So it is impossible for us to have a good opposition neighbor when you have a government as Andrew Michael that is doing so good. It cannot work. If we have a good opposition, it simply means we have a poor government. A government that is not doing good. That's why the opposition is good. And once the opposition is bad, it simply means that the government of the day is doing immaculately good, neighbor.
Let me ask you to comment on one other matter. There is a suggestion today coming out of the United States ambassador, former, that misleading rumors and hearsays led to the revocation of the United States visa for West Portland Member of Parliament Darrell Vaz in 2019. That's the revelation of former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia. Mr. Tapia was speaking today on Cliff Hughes Online. The matter of Darrell Vaz's visa is back in the headlines after numerous videos rehashing the matter popped up on social media last week. Washington revoked his visa in 2019, but it was reinstated in 2021. The former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, was asked what led to the revocation of Mr. Vaz's visa. Mr. Tapia says the visa was revoked because the United States was misled. By whom? He says a dossier, and a dossier is a file. A dossier provided to him suggested that Vaz had a criminal past. But he adds that investigations by several U.S. agencies could not find nothing to support the claim. The ambassador revealed that the rhetoric suggesting that Vaz had a run had run-ins with the law was all hearsay, murmured during, listen to this, the PNP administration. Ambassador Tapia said he even discussed the matter with the then PNP president, Dr. Peter Phillips. Scratchy?
Yes, neighbor.
You hear that?
Neighbor, this is not new, neighbor. Let me tell you, neighbor, the PNP has always been a political organization, neighbor, where I don't know how they do it, neighbor. I don't know what connection, but they have always had some form of connection, neighbor, with persons who hold some high offices, neighbor, in the United States government, neighbor. The PNP, the People's National Party, neighbor, has always have that connection, neighbor. Whether it's in the State Department, neighbor, whether it's in the Department of Justice, whether it's in Congress, neighbor, the PNP always seem to have some strong connection, neighbor, in the United States government, neighbor. And what the PNP always does, neighbor, is they use these strong connection that they have, neighbor, to their own benefit, neighbor, and to use it, neighbor, to sabotage and blackmail, neighbor, their political opponents, neighbor. That is what the People's National Party has always done, neighbor. For over an extended period of time, they have been doing that, neighbor. And whenever a particular government in the US is in power, neighbor, whenever the PNP is in power alongside that particular government, neighbor, the PNP always seem to feel like, neighbor, they have some form of strength or they have some form of power, neighbor, because of the connection that they have, neighbor. When you look at even from a local standpoint, neighbor, when you look at even the Integrity Commission, the reason why the PNP can always come out and tell us who is under investigation and stuff like that, neighbor, because the IC has even given us into, neighbor. Even when you look at the Prime Minister, the investigation that is being going on within the with the Prime Minister, neighbor, it is operatives, neighbor, are members of the PNP who send anonymous information to the IC, neighbor, and feed IC with all of these things, neighbor, type of thing that say, yes, check out this apartment there, so where says him on this round there, so where says him on that round there, so, you know, those are the things that they do, neighbor. They do it not just with the Prime Minister, but with a host of other members of the Jamaica Labour Party. That's why they can always come and tell this, despite them having inside information or in bed with the IC, that's why they can come out and say, yes, that person is under investigation, 16, 15, 14, because they know they know the information that they are feeding the IC with, neighbor, whether via anonymous way, neighbor, or whichever other way. So that is how the PNP operate, neighbor. The PNP use organizations, neighbor, and use persons of power, neighbor, to demonize and attack their political opponents, neighbor, and that is allowed to get away with over an extended period of time. I'm glad Mr. Tapia came public at that time, neighbor, and called out the Minister of Security at that time, who he said, tell him this and tell him about who corrupt, and him asked him to show him the corruption, he couldn't show him anything, neighbor. The Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor. Even right now, Jamaica is being sabotaged, neighbor. Just because it is a Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, that is in power and government, neighbor. There's a lot more that Jamaica could achieve. There's a lot more that could have been done for Jamaica, neighbor. But it is not, neighbor, because it is not another person's favorite political party.
What you saying to me?
It is not a party that suits their interest in government, neighbor. So they tend to hold back. I'm going to say this, neighbor. I always say this to you. A lot of person, yes, I am pleased and I go to Jamaica and I see things booming and things are going good, neighbor. But I can tell you, neighbor, that a lot of things that is booming, neighbor, Jamaica could be booming way more. We have a lot of investors, a lot of private citizens, neighbor, in Jamaica who have a certain level of resources, who can push the government's agenda, neighbor, in terms of productivity, in terms of employment,
yes,
in terms of poverty, neighbor, and they sit back on these resources.
You hear what is happening here?
Amplifying their resources.
You hear what is happening here?
If you look at even corporate Jamaica.
Oh, God.
If you look at even corporate Jamaica, neighbor, there's a lot more that I believe that the private sector of Jamaica can do, neighbor, in terms of investment, neighbor, to match what the government is doing, neighbor, in terms of pushing this country forward, neighbor, but they are not, because it is not the government of their choice that is in power, neighbor. It is not the government that they will benefit back from, neighbor, that is in power, neighbor. It is not the government that they're in bed with, you make
goosebumps take me. You make goosebumps take me over scratchy. Take time.
It's just the reality, neighbor.
Oh,
Jamaica
God.
So, because I tell you already, neighbor, that a lot of what the government is doing, neighbor, if private sector, neighbor, and persons with the vast resources in Jamaica, neighbor, we're trying to match even half. I'm trying to say every dollar where the government spend, we're going to see if we can spend 25 cents. We're going to try to see if we can match every dollar the government spend with 35 cents, 45 cents with investment. We are not getting, neighbor, every single country. I live in Canada, neighbor. And Canada is not what it is only because of the government, neighbor. Canada is what it is, neighbor, because the private investors, neighbor, invest in the people, invest in the country, neighbor, and develop the country as well. The government alone cannot do it, neighbor. No country around the world where you will see that is running an active economy, that is moving, neighbor, is run by just government alone. And I believe, neighbor, that private individuals in Jamaica, neighbor, can do way more. Sometimes I keep back, neighbor, and I see a new hotel bill. And when I research and say, where this person come from, where I build this hotel? Oh, the man come from Italy, the man come from Spain. All right, so you mean to tell me, say, none of the investors and none of the people in Jamaica who sit on these vast amount of resources about this one hotel is needed, where they could have built the hotel. They don't want to do that, neighbor. Look at our sporting facility. Oh. You think it's the government should be more about the government to renovate National Stadium, neighbor? Where are the private companies in the country who decide, okay, I am going to build a stadium? Neighbor, all the stadium here in Canada, neighbor, is not the government who own them. All the stadium in America who host the World Cup, is not the government who own them, neighbor. Government not the shares of them, a private man stadium them.
What you saying to me? Hold on there for me.
Private man stadium them, neighbor. So you can't expect the government must build one stadium at Kingston, build one at Trelawney, all the government are going to maintain all of these stadiums going forward, neighbor. Private man, why no private investor in Jamaica can't see it fit to say, okay, we're going to invest in our football program, you know. But let's go build stadium across the length and breadth of the country and give each club one, and they will see how best we can create some business with the government and partner the government. Neighbor, government alone cannot do it. Jamaica could be way further, neighbor, if the private citizens weren't playing politics, neighbor, with the vast resources and connection that they have. And they're trying to match the dollar, the government dollar for dollar, neighbor. And if you can't match government dollar for dollar, match the government 25 cents, 35 cents a dollar. Every dollar the government spend, you try to spend 35 cents to match it. And you see how far we are reach in terms of development. But guess what? We're waiting for the government to build out all of the urban center them. We are waiting for government to build out all of everything that need. We want government build road, we want government build water, we want government give a light, we want government give a house, we want government give every single thing. A lot of the houses here in Canada are private people who own them. It's not government. A lot of the apartments is private investors. Private investors in Jamaica, neighbor, they have the resources, but guess what? It's not feeding government in a power, neighbor. It's not the government this way they can use, neighbor, and benefit from and get all type of things from, neighbor. So they are holding back on the resources. And that's why we see a lot of them are collapse left, right, and center, because they are not doing business. They are corporate companies, neighbor, and they are play politics and are mingling in politics.
Hold on there for me. Listen to this.
The matter of Daryl Vaz's U.S. visa is back in the headlines after numerous videos rehashing the matter popped up on social media last week. Washington revoked his visa in 2019, but it was reinstated in September 2021. Former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, was asked what led to the revocation on CliffViews Online on Tuesday morning. Tapia says Vaz's visa was revoked because the U.S. was misled. He says a dossier provided to him suggested that Vaz had a criminal past, but he adds that investigations by several U.S. agencies could find nothing to support the claim.
Is that we started taking a look at all the dossiers and so forth that I had. The question was, I saw nothing that I had in file, in records in Jamaica against Vaz. So what I did is I called all my intel, INS, the FBI, the Drug Administration. I called everybody into a meeting in the embassy, all my officers there. And I said, I want you to research whatever files they have in Washington and all the files that we have here. And I want, within 30 days or with 45 days, I want a report of everything that they have against this minister.
But Ambassador Tapia says their investigations revealed that the rhetoric suggesting Daryl Vaz had run-ins with the law was all hearsay murmured during a PNP administration.
There was 14 people in that room, and we went through every challenge and every charge against Dale Vaz that was brought against Dale Vaz. And that, most of the charges was brought against Dale Vaz when his father and so forth was the minister, and he was connected to it. And most of those charges came from the PNP. Okay, hearsay. There was never, and I repeated that 3 times. Never anything in the files that was being archived in Washington D.C. or archived there in Jamaica that brought Dale Vaz into being involved in drugs, guns, narcotics. It was all hearsay.
Ambassador Tapia says he even discussed the matter during a dinner with the then PNP president, Dr. Peter Phillips.
And it just came up when I had a meeting with Philip, the head of the PNP dinner, that I challenged him on. The fact is where I see some of the statements that have been made by some of your administration, that I can't find anything. Do you have anything of concrete that you can hand over to the U.S. government on Dale Vaz's action and anything that have been said?
The meeting with Phillips of the PNP?
That's right. I had a dinner with. It was during his administration that all the charges and so forth came forward. It was not during the JLP.
Mahir Stewart for Nationwide News.
Harry Henriquez, I'm coming back. Harry. Producer, see if you can wake up Harry there for me. This is amazing stuff. Until we get Harry. Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor.
Why is the PNP like this? Why? Why are they doing this to Jamaican people?
PNP is a weapon that farm against Jamaica, neighbor. PNP is a weapon of mass destruction. The PNP, neighbor, that are political, they have never put Jamaica first.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing here. Scratchy.
Neighbor.
Hearsay? Then are you telling me that what are we to make against the various IC reports coming out, Scratchy? If you should just connect the dots, then the whole thing needs to be looked into.
Neighbor, the whole upper echelon, neighbor, the system, neighbor, the PNP has ruled over this country for an extended period of time. They have planted their surrogates, neighbor, in high position, neighbor, and high offices across the length and breadth of government, neighbor. And a lot of the position that a lot of these persons are holding, neighbor, it is very difficult, neighbor, for a government to come in power and say, we're going to relieve you of your spot or relieve your duty because of certain legal obligations and legality and stuff like that, neighbor. So they still hold certain position, neighbor. And these persons, neighbor, they are not patriot, neighbor. They hold government position, neighbor. They are being paid by taxpayers, neighbor. And they are carrying out the best interests of the opposition and not the best interests of the government of the day who set in the agenda of the country. So it goes to show, neighbor, that Jamaica is in the situation that it is in, and Jamaica was in a situation that it was in, neighbor, by an extended period of time of politics, a type of governance, neighbor, that we get from the People's National Party, neighbor. Organization is the weapon of mass destruction in Jamaica, neighbor. They destroyed every single sector of our country, neighbor. They sell us out, neighbor. They damage us in every single way. They don't mean us any good. PNP, neighbor, is the worst thing that has ever happened in Jamaica, neighbor, from Jamaica, from independence till now.
I think this is
National Party, neighbor.
I think this is a scandal. I think this is a scandal, Scratchy. I think this is a scandal. And I don't know if you remember the MOU, the MOU that Peter Phillips signed, and it was hid up at the up at JDF.
Park, yeah.
You remember it?
Yeah, but again, an MOU, neighbor. Again, look at even that MOU, neighbor. Look at the signing of that MOU. And what concerned me most about that MOU, neighbor, where I still fly over a lot of person's head, is the fact, neighbor, that when that whole argument about the MOU came up, neighbor, the United States, neighbor, came out and said that yes, the MOU was signed, and they said, neighbor, that the MOU didn't just sign, neighbor. The signing of that MOU, neighbor, came with $3 million, neighbor, for the government of the day, neighbor, to build out some type of forensic place, neighbor, where the wiretapping of these information could be stored or something like that for data. None of that was built, neighbor. Where the 3 million US went then? Where the 3 million US went, neighbor? So it's basically telling neighbor that we were sold out, neighbor.
This is a scandal.
This guy sold our rights, neighbor, to the United States government, neighbor, for 3 million US dollars.
What a disgrace. What a scandal in Jamaica this evening here, where the former United States ambassador is saying that he met with Dr. Phillips and asked him, where is the evidence? And they give a file to the US embassy and had the man's visa revoked. Isn't that treason, Scratchy? Isn't this treason against your country and your countrymen?
Definitely treasonous, neighbor. They do it against our political.
I think the government should withdraw the invitation from the PNP to attend the Grand Gala, man. This is bad. This is bad.
Definitely, they should be invited to Grand Gala. Is a patriotic thing, you know.
But seriously, Scratchy, if you put a file together in Jamaica and you send it to the United States, and the United States they are the greatest country in the world. They have the FBI, and the FBI says nothing no goes up, and the intelligence of the United States, Scratchy, clears you, and your own people do that to you, then you're not treasonous, man.
Yeah, but that is why Peter Phillips, neighbor, could never be Prime Minister of Jamaica, neighbor, because Peter Phillips, neighbor, put Jamaica in a spot, neighbor, with the secret signing of that MOU, neighbor. Peter Phillips ruined Bruce Golding's political life, neighbor, because of that MOU. Because if Bruce Golding knew about that MOU, Bruce Golding would not have took the stance that he has took, neighbor. That make it seem in the end, neighbor, like he was defending someone of criminality behavior, criminal action alleged. PNP, neighbor, they destroyed Bruce Golding, they destroyed Edward Tiaga, and they destroyed Bruce Golding, neighbor. And they're trying it right now with our current leader.
But hold on, Scratchy. The General Secretary of the PNP had to issue an apology to Darrell Vaz. Scratchy, how can it just be left at an apology? The man's visa is revoked. Was he removed from the cabinet at the time? I don't recall. But
his reputation,
the reputational damage done to this brother. And now the United States is coming out to say we found nothing on him based on information supplied to the PNP. I met with the leader of the PNP and I asked him, can you give us some information on this man? So it seems as if the PNP chumped up some false accusation to embarrass the government of Jamaica through its minister.
What they have been doing. That's their political agenda, neighbor. That's their political style. That's how they practice their politics, neighbor. And we are seeing them now, neighbor. We are seeing a new trend where they are attacking, neighbor, private citizens, neighbor, who are asked or who manage, neighbor, to whatever form of interviews, neighbor, manage to move, neighbor, into high positions, neighbor, because of their qualification. And we see where PNP, neighbor, is trying to damage, neighbor, the character of private citizens. And these key positions, neighbor, like they have the FID, they have NARA, or they have any other key organization or department of government, neighbor, that is so important, neighbor, where is persons who are private citizens, neighbor, who have the requisite skills is needed, neighbor, to carry out these tasks or hold these high offices, neighbor. And when you have a political organization who set out, neighbor, to purposely damage the character of these people, neighbor, because they believe, neighbor, that because these people take this job, they are in line or in favor with the government of the day, neighbor. It is sending something bad, because we are going to have persons who are qualified, neighbor, for certain positions, and because persons don't want their family life or their personal life to be dragged in any form of political football, neighbor, because they didn't apply for any political office, or they're not seeking any political office, neighbor, until you know that a political organization is going to drag you. Case in point, Mr. Dennis Strong at the FID, when they go to that man, neighbor, what we hear in the one voice note they were planning to do with the head of NARA, and they have done it with a host of others, neighbor, even a man like a Danville Walker, neighbor. When you look at a man like Danville Walker who has done so much for this country, neighbor, and you see the attacks, neighbor, that they still want to try to put towards these people, neighbor, it is a bad precedent that is being said. And you don't hear You don't hear the so-called people who have sent for the country call out PNP and it neighbor. And I said, this is not good practice. This is bad for the growth and the advancement of the country, because I don't want to make persons who have the requisite skill now go to other places with them skill and don't want to be a part of this corrupt thing, or this system where persons attack you just because you're qualified for a position. That's madness, neighbor. Total madness. The PNP do it, neighbor. That's the politics that they practice. They did it with Mr. Siaga. They did it with Mr. Golden. They did it with Bruce Golding, because I can tell you, neighbor, that it is the secret MOU that Bruce Golding did not know was hiding up by Oak Park camp. Did Bruce Golding search far and wide, neighbor, for any documents, neighbor, that had given the United States the right for that wiretapping, neighbor, and he didn't saw any. And he came out and said he was standing up for a citizen of the country, not for nobody from his constituency in particular, but for the citizen of not knowing that the PNP had sold us for $3 million US, neighbor.
Fantastic. Amazing stuff. Good night to you, Chops Media. Hi.
Greetings.
You've been waiting for a long time. Chops Media, when you listen to former Ambassador Tapia today, and you know the furor that the country came up in at the time when Vaz's visa was suspended, and how it affected people's perception of the government of the Jamaica Labour Party. And to hear now, Chops, that this was all rumors, and there is an indication, if it's even mildly, that it could have been coming out of the People's National Party. How does that make you feel as a supporter of the party?
Well, it's not mildly, you know. I think it is very
explicitly stated.
And explicitly stated that.
Well, I wanted to be mild.
There's nothing to be mild about there. The fact of the matter is that, as Scratchy said earlier, the PNP will do just about anything at all to gain state power. And I don't know how it is that Mr. Vaz would find it within himself to have a smile or a drink or a beer or even a civil conversation with members of an organization that seeks to destroy.
I agree with you to say I couldn't sit with them. I couldn't sit with them.
I just could not share space with a group of individuals. I'm not saying, because there might be individuals within the PNP who are decent people who probably don't want. But if you are, then you ought to come out and condemn what the PNP has done. And if you refuse to condemn the behavior of the PNP, then you are as guilty and as nasty as the rest of them are.
Okay. Chops Media, what are the implications of Tapia's revelation beyond what he said? The things that he does not say. Can you connect this for me in terms of looking at what Tapia say and what is happening today in the body politics of Jamaica with various investigations going on right now?
Tapia has exposed the belly of the beast, if you ask me.
And
this is not his first rodeo. He had said it before. Tapia put out of business the Trevor Monroe-led organization.
I agree with you. I remember that was fascinating. Fascinating. As a matter of fact, I don't think Monroe has recovered.
No, he has resigned. He has stepped away from the NIA since. But it was Tapia who withdraw support from that organization simply because the existence of that organization was a fallacy. It was based on false accusation and false narrative creation and information gathering and dissemination. When Trevor Monroe was asked by Tapia to provide evidence of government corruption and he could not provide any evidence, that was the straw that brought the camel back with Tapia. And I think what Tapia had said today, which is not the first time he's saying these things, but to reiterate it today is very profound. But talking about the issue with Darrell Vaz is one, and it's probably high on the agenda of things that we would have said today. But another aspect of Tapia's comment that warrants serious consideration and discussion, and I hope every well-thinking Jamaican is listening to what I would have listened to what he said today, was when he spoke about and leveled unprecedented criticism of the incoming ambassador to Jamaica, Kerry Lake. When Tapia spoke about not having confidence and the fact that Jamaica should be very careful of her coming in, those are not arguments that ought to be taken lightly, neighbor.
Not at all. But before you go there, we heard Chops Media a couple of weeks ago a leaked voice note coming out of the PNP, and now this is there an unraveling happening? Is the PNP being exposed? Are Jamaicans now recognizing the type of organization that the PNP is? Because I must tell you, Chops, and I've tried my best to be very fair, but what I'm hearing here makes me very wary of this organization, you know.
Well, if you're a Jamaican who really love this country, you ought to be wary of the opposition. Because
but based on the evidence, Chops Media, the evidence suggests that they are an organization that is profoundly dangerous.
Yes, I mean, the voice note in of itself tells you that when an organization is set out to create a perception of corruption, which is what we have been living under for decades now, a perception of corruption, and not just in a general way, but there would have been a targeted, deliberate attempt to tarnish someone's reputation simply for political gain. Look, these voice notes speaks volume, and I'm happy that the voice note is not just a 9-day wonder, and it is being discussed at the highest level. It is being discussed at the middle and at the lowest level, because every Jamaican should understand and can interpret and understand exactly what the PNP meant in those voice notes. What they meant in those voice notes is that they are willing to sacrifice the well-being of the ordinary Jamaican for their own political gain, right? They are willing to sacrifice building out communities, right? They are willing to sacrifice building out our roads, our drains, and our general infrastructure simply for their own political gain. And the average Jamaican, this is the same group that they are targeting, must neighbor, listen to these voice notes and understand exactly what they mean.
Let me take you back to Mr. Tapia. This is quite unusual, Chops. When you contrast that to what Golding said, which prompted the interview from Nationwide, why do you think that a former ambassador would feel it necessary to come out and say these things? Because that is a little bit of getting involved with the politics, or is this just truth?
Well, part of it is Tapia being Tapia. Tapia has always been an honest and open. He doesn't want to mince words or to hide his position on issues. And the truth is, when you are an honest person and you can assess Jamaica's progress, Jamaica's achievement over the years, sitting in the seat that Tapia sat in, and appreciate Jamaica's gain today, it would be hard for any individual who would have seen this country and witnessed the growth and development in this country, yeah, at the level where Tapia sat, and to really sit down and to watch somebody this. I think it was something really deep for you to just turn a blind eye and not to say anything. And I think it is a humanity in Tapia that caused him to really be so vocal. I think one of the reasons why Tapia has become so sentimentally attached to this country, I don't know of any other U.S. ambassador who has been so connected to the country that they serve as ambassador. I think from what I gather, Tapia and the Vaz have developed a friendship, a family bond. Because when you sit in his seat, neighbor, and you get the information that Tapia got, right? And you call in all your operatives and you say to them, look, use whatever resources you need to.
Yes.
Find out everything on this individual. You know, look, this is not
That's the authority and power of the greatest country on earth, investigating an individual. And if they come up with nothing, then there is nothing.
Nothing at all.
Chops Media.
You have every responsibility as an individual, as an ambassador, to lift your hat to that gentleman and to say to him, I apologize to you. Because just put yourself in Tapia's shoes, man. Put yourself in Tapia's shoes, knowing that an individual life would have been ruined.
But not only the individual, Chops Media, the individual's association with the government and the government he represents.
Yes.
Because if a government minister is found to be involved in the things that Vaz was said to be involved in, then that government would lose credibility.
It hurt us big time.
Oh.
It hurt the government. And again, and I'm always, what I'm trying to say to you, neighbor, is that the individual Jamaicans might be asking, you ask a question, why would Tapia do? And I'm saying to you, put yourself in his shoe. You probably would have done the same thing, neighbor. Because when you see the length to which a political organization would go to destroy a government or its members just to gain state power, it pulls you closer to those persons. And I think what has happened is that the information that Tapia has been privy to has pulled him closer to the Jamaica Labour Party and the government itself, because he would have seen the development.
Yeah.
He would have seen what Jamaica has achieved.
Yes.
And anybody at all. And that's why it hurts sometimes.
Oh.
When you look at where we are coming from, and when you see to yourself and you ask yourself the question, when people like Tapia, who has absolutely zero connection to Jamaica,
have no interest in the politics.
Jamaica, him not have no cousin or no auntie or no land around the corner, and have no interest here except for the United States. And when people like Tapia can stay from thousands of miles away and see the good within us as a country, when other organizations can stay in Britain, in Netherlands, in wherever, and they can see the greatness in Jamaica, and they can write about it, they can talk about it, they can blog about it, but yet you have an opposition sitting right here in Jamaica, and I have never heard the opposition spoke about Jamaica's up to 50% reduction in murder. I've never heard them spoke about it in any way that is commending or commendable. They have never done it.
Yeah. Chops Media, say a little bit about the individual Daryl Vaz, because by all accounts, Vaz has been a very, very good minister of government. As a matter of fact, Jamaica would have been robbed of probably a school bus service and activism after Melissa had it not been for Daryl Vaz. He is unmatched in terms of his work attitude and work ethics. Say a little bit about Mr. Vaz in how he has weathered this storm, and as he puts a close on his political career, what would you want the people of Jamaica to remember about him?
You know, let me tell you, if I were to advise the government or to advise Daryl Vaz, he has given a lot to this country, a whole lot. I know Mr. Vaz's father, as a little boy in St. Elizabeth, they used to come and shoot bird down there. And it was my privilege sometimes to see them coming through and going hunting for birds. I remember Daryl Vaz during the Bruce Golding administration, when he was actually named a czar, like a minister without portfolio. And his job at the time was to cut through the bureaucracy.
Yes, sir.
Get things done.
Under Golding, yes.
Yes. So what you're seeing today in Darrell Vaz is not something that I have not seen before. I have seen him in action when he was appointed. He was also communications, Minister of Information under Bruce Golding. And he was the communication chief. And I said to you, he was appointed as czar to cut through bureaucracy, because one of the things that Darrell has always been good at, he is good at fostering great relationships. He has always been perhaps one of the most consistent member of parliament and consistent minister of government. It is one individual. If Darrell tells you that he is going to done, consider it done. Not saying that there are not other ministers who have, display similar attributes.
Prime Minister. And I would
sorry,
without a shadow of, no, that's fine. Without a shadow of a doubt, that when as says to this country that I am going to get done. So the man himself, and as I go back to the origin of your question, is if I were to advise him, one of the things that I would, and I've said this to him on numerous occasions just recently, that, sir, I do not believe that while I sympathize with you and I know that you have given a lot to this country, but I would ask of you
to stay another term.
A little longer. And I've said that.
Well, sometimes, Chops, I've heard that you should quit while you're ahead. I wish I had taken that advice at some other time in my life.
Well,
yeah. Because public service in Jamaica can be very, very
yes.
I don't know, it takes its toll on you, Chops. And sometimes you need a little time with your family and with your grandchildren and all of that. I saw Mr. Siaga, for example, served until he was, and I know that you know this too, because you are a Siaga man, that Mr. Siaga served until he had almost nothing left to give. And yet many Jamaicans still do not appreciate him up to today.
Yes, sir.
And I think people deserve to go off having served well. Like I believe in term limits, and I must tell you the truth. I don't think that people necessarily should serve until they are old. And I although because Vaz can serve in other capacities.
Well, it's not a matter of serving until you. I'm not against term limit. What I'm against is disrupting a good flow. It is hard because, like I said to you, I understand Darrell Vaz, who have given his all to this country, but I'm also worried that the trajectory that we're on now, I just find it difficult that we will lose an individual.
You have to step up to the plate. You have to step up to the plate, Chops Bida. You're not interested in representation of politics?
Neighbor, not at this time.
Oh.
And that has always been my argument. Not at this time. You never know what tomorrow might bring. You never know what the future holds.
After run, you hear are running out of time.
Yes, sir.
Take care of yourself.
And most of those charges came from the PNP. Okay? Hearsay. There was never, and I repeated that 3 times, never anything in the files that was being archived in Washington, D.C. or archived there in Jamaica that brought Dale Vaz into handling, being involved in drugs, guns, narcotics. It was
okay, there you have it. I'm running out of time, so 2 minutes each to the people online. Hey, TV man, go ahead. TV man. All right. TV man. No. Rick Trigger. Hey, Mr. Trigger, how you doing?
Not bad at all, you know. So I wonder if you'll be the parish of Manchester.
Hey guys.
Sorry, if what?
Neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I'm here, man.
No, hold on, TV man. Rich Sugar, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I wonder if you'll be in the parish of Manchester this weekend.
For independence.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, you know. Come to think of it, you'll be there.
There's a likely possibility.
well, if you are, then I should be. You know, I should be. Yes.
Anyhow, let me not run away the 2 minutes with the pleasantries.
Yes.
But I must say this, neighbor, as it relates to the revelation of Mr. Tapia, it shows a great amount of intellectual laziness on the part of the PNP for them to just be reducing themselves to telling lies on someone as a means to get to power than to bring forth policies that can move the meter. And when I say move the meter, I mean like in the case when the GLP came in 2016 with 1.5, they have not come with any kind of thing to move the meter to stir the mind of the electorate to say
it's a very good point. It's a very good point. Yes.
Labour. I must also state in the Labour. The PNP in the last 2 elections are the greatest campaigners for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Oh.
Hear my point. The strongest policies that the Labour Party put forth, the PNP rode it like a mule. At the end of the day, that point is so strong. I would not be there highlighting it at all, you know.
Yes.
I would be going there looking at low-hanging fruits to strike at the government.
Yeah.
To strike at my opposite number on the election campaign. But it goes to show, but to just reiterate is that the PNP is just intellectually lazy. They don't know what to do.
You've made a good point. They have not really, within the last 5 or so years, there is nothing earth-shattering or innovative that we have seen to discuss. Nothing.
Yes. Coming
from that side, yeah.
Coming from that side. And in closing, neighbor, it goes to show there's Darrell Vaz, we just talk about him, is a very erudite individual. It goes to show that the PNP does believe that if we get him out, that is our chance to get in. I could delve into it a little more, but as you say, short on time, we'll talk about it another day.
Take care of yourself. If you're gonna be in town, you let me know.
Yeah, sure will.
Big up yourself.
Take care of yourself. Big up everybody.
Yeah, nice. Having talked to him in a while. He's a fantastic labourite, from out of central Jamaica. Hello, Sydney. Sydney? No. Not there. Okay. Okay. TV man, go ahead, sir.
What a wonderful Independence Starkey, man.
Well, how are you?
This is a wonderful Independence Stark. I've been listening to the program. Come in, even though my battery dead, me have it on charge, and I have to be talking. Let me explain something to your neighbor.
Yes.
PNP is so lazy. And not just lazy, thief. And lie with it. Lazy, thief, and lie. The PNP can't rule over nobody. When you say the country and the public stable, we then get time to think. When the public are comfortable and get time to think and can do things for themselves, PNP can't rule over those type of people. They can't control those type of people. PNP have to control people because when you use the word animosity type of people, then where them in our position where them confused, then just ignorant, then just quarrel, violent, everything. That's what the PNP love to rule over. Every one of PNP constituency, if you look, it's a kind, you have a part of it where very violent. Live down to, that's why they can tell you that people are live poor and poverty life, because those are the kind of people they want to rule over in a freedom era, and they see it every day in the era, but they now fix the problem. And them now really bring them, when them do bring it to the government, it's just an embarrassment. They might try to put to the government like an embarrassment, try to embarrass the government.
Yeah.
At the same time, they are not fixing the problem. They don't want the problem fixing. Have you give them the money and tell them to fix the problem, then dry it out and drag it out and make everybody get 1,000 just to keep them going.
just to keep them to say then they give them $1,000. They cannot rule over a set of people who calm, gated community type of people were relaxing, go to them work, come in. Those type of people, they can't rule over them. They don't want them, the kind of people. And anytime the country reach a level there, PMP start get worried. They start to get worried because first of all, they don't realize they're losing traction. So if you notice, they don't really attract new people. They just try to keep them base and try to turn off new voters and good voters from the poll. And the good voters and the new voters will have to go to the JLP vote. So them don't really want the people at the poll. Because them say them have a base already if you vote for them. Where they keep that kind of way if you vote for them. So anybody else, they make it look like politics are one miserable and cantankerous thing and they want to look like it, I want it to be violent. So if you know if you go vote, you know, if you better come out, you know, if you better get involved. Yeah, so this is what they want. This is the way they live. We've seen it. This man Tapio, another first this man been talking about this story, you know. And we must put it bluntly, the man when called Bunting name, if I can remember correctly, the man they called Bunting name in the first interview, you know. The man they called Mr. Bunting name in the first interview, the time Mr. Bunting report Barrett Vast to them. Right? And when you look, how can you want to stand, laugh and talk with the man in parliament and shake the man and then you go through them and do them something back at the man and back? That's why I don't know, yeah, man. These politicians, them really have these JLP people, they have their heart, yeah, man. Because I couldn't even look at you over on the next side of the road, the next side of the parliament, when you did these things to me. They are wicked. They mash up good people's life. Once you have a say of your own neighbor and you have strength to say you're not following them down the road, yeah, this is wrong or this is right. Them don't want you around them. Them don't want you. I mean, I was still along with you, neighbor, but I'm glad we can put these points out in the neighbor because me are listening thing and me are watching.
When you heard Mr. before you go, when you heard Mr. Isaac Buchanan today saying that the container houses were trash, what you thought about that?
Look here now, Isaac officer with my officer, Isaac confused, you know. Isaac don't even know what him saying. This one him flip, him flop. Isaac don't even know where side he sleep when I come.
What are you saying to me? Is he the man that said that Rasta man no love beard? Him say so?
You know him say no love beard? I'm like that. Look here now, people get up and kind of jab. You just like get anybody for rule over. Look here. When you look at the JLP side of politics, still beside at the aisle at the time in the parliament.
But yeah. I was looking at Miss Charles though. Miss Charles, okay?
Yes.
Check on her for me.
Yes, I must find out. I must call up there and find out.
Check on Michelle Charles.
I never seen her. She was at this up there. The Barbogle. I don't remember seeing her. I don't remember if I see her.
Check it out for me and let me know.
Yes, I mean, when you look over that with the JLP side, there's a statemanship of Andrew Wallace, make sure I'm grooming people and make them understand the protocol. That's why you can't talk about the man will have Yagad upon them and Yagad. The man not Yagad upon them. The man just make to know that this is statemanship and when we choose people to come represent people, we want people. And the new Jamaican that we have, we need people with quality and caliber to rule over people that people can take example from it. The PMP don't let Jamaica outgrow them.
Yeah. You know, sir, I tell you the truth. At this point, by the way, I was talking to a friend of mine. The network here, Politics Matter. It's been 1 year. It's been 1 year since the government has been in power. And we're going to test the waters to see where the people are in terms of public opinion. So I want my listeners to stay tuned for that. We're having some discussions with someone. Because I can tell you this, Mr. TV man. The Labour Party seems that they are getting stronger and the PNP seem to be getting weaker.
Of course, because if you notice, they are the same one liquor.
Yeah.
This neighbor,
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
one with tell them the one hour.
Uh-huh.
The people have got this.
Yeah.
And when you look, one container house are put down.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you notice, them try to just even like the prime minister in blue, just like the prime minister.
Yeah.
Every color the man will come like them find watch for free.
Yeah.
Like it.
And I tell you
Come
this,
out there.
if you are a true patriotic Jamaican, there's no way you would right now support the opposition in the state that they are in.
Okay,
They're in a
people
bad
laughing
state.
at them.
They're in a bad state, Oskin. Bad state.
Bad state.
They're in a bad
Then you
state.
push the-
Uh-huh. And you know, sir, and I will tell you this. When you listen to Mr. Tapia today, I am telling you the truth, TV man. It's an embarrassment to know that the
It's an embarrassment.
to know that the
How the
PNP.
man has show them up.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The man has show
But an
them up. 'Cause the man
embarrassment. It's an
The man
embarrassment.
is a outsider. The man is a outsider.
Uh-huh.
And the man has and the man say all that is taking place. Can you hear what the man say? Him sit with Peter Phillips and half
Yes.
Peter Phillips and Harvard dinner. And Peter Phillips don't look at the man and said, no. like
Yes,
that.
sir.
We have no.
Imagine that.
Remember look at Peter Phillips. Peter Phillips when he said that the man died, said that, you know.
Yeah.
He said sit with Peter Phillips and have dinner with Peter Phillips and half. And Peter Phillips, the man telling you not like that. It's just a wild goose chase or political mileage people just try to do. The man don't tell the man not like that, you know.
Uh-huh.
Him don't confirm, him don't deny it. Him gonna just You understand me? These people are wicked. I know when the big things that go out and people start getting a little benefit, you start going, if you go turn up for people see up on TV. All this time you know got your constituency. All this time you know go look for the people them. You roll up and down and tell lie. And you know vote for sitting all of a sudden you want benefit from it. These
Yeah.
are people, these people are thief, man. These people are thief, these people are thief and general are wicked.
Yeah.
And when you ask them, if you ask them tick for tack, where you doing the 15 million, the 1.5 million, the 1.5 where you get before hurricane, where's the other money that you get? What you have done with them? What about your donation? Where you use the money for? What you do? Then if you're saying that you do so much, and if the government spends so much money and do, we shouldn't have nobody about.
So true. Anyway, but we catch you tomorrow.
Yes, man.
Pick up
I'm
your
here, man. Now listen.
pick up yourself.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scratchy? Scratchy? Okay. Scratchy's microphone is muted. Scratchy? Yeah. I'm out of time. YouTube? I'm out of time. Scratchy?
Yes, neighbor.
Boy, Scratchy, the politics is about to get very interesting with all of this that is happening, you know, Scratchy. We just have to continue to break it down for our listeners night after night, eh?
Definitely, neighbor. The politics, I tell you, neighbor. It's Jamaica politics, neighbor.
Very interesting. Never more in at all, Scratchy. Different, me I tell you. Why? Those are you can make a show out of it every day.
You can make a show, neighbor. You can do content in our neighbor.
Yes.
Jamaica politics.
Yeah. This Tapia story with Vaz is a big story, though, Scratchy. A big story.
Definitely, neighbor. A very big story, neighbor.
And I think it has a lot of layers, because when you look at all of these investigations happening in Jamaica now, people are going to ask some serious questions. I wonder if a whole of them are just we try to is a witch hunt like this one for Vaz. And the man said no go so. No go so. Because remember now, Scratchy, with the Prime Minister, the IC employed an overseas investigator to come in to check on the Prime Minister, and the man left and said nothing to find. And I'll know the Prime Minister can be certified.
No, neighbor. So it's clear, neighbor. There's a spear ritual going on, neighbor, in regards, neighbor, to the Jamaican neighbor party, neighbor. Spear ritual.
Boy, I tell you, Scratchy.
Neighbor, a lot to come, neighbor.
Lot to come. Yeah, well, we'll be here to break.
The greatest thing, though, neighbor.
Yeah.
That's I glad for, neighbor, is that the PNP, neighbor, we are the one them back foot, neighbor. We are.
Oh yes, and I think that they are very embarrassed tonight. I think they are embarrassed.
They're getting jabs and punch from all angles, neighbor. Every angle they turn, neighbor, it is not looking good for them, neighbor. They're getting jabs, they're getting punch. And this is a result, neighbor, of the unfair game that they have been playing, neighbor. This is their karma. you know, and I believe that there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, fantastic. Take care of yourself and catch you tomorrow. You hear?
Yeah, neighbor, big up, same to you.
Okay, all right. Listeners, on YouTube, take care of yourselves. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to share the live and support the work we do here on YouTube. And thank you for supporting the Hello Neighbor show. You can, of course, Zelle us your contribution. The Zelle account is on your screen, as I said to you. Big things we have coming up for you. 954-635-8732. It's right across your screen. Send a contribution, send a gift to the program, so we can work on our so many things that we want to do to produce better and to deliver better for you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Okay, bye-bye. Take care. All right. TikTok, YouTube